Chapter 375. Her words not only stunned the other party, but also the people on her side. If it wasn't them, could it be that there was someone else? But they didn't see anyone else coming. Haha. The young master of the cloud cave raised his head and laughed, as if he had never seen such a foolish person before. I heard that you are the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. I was wondering if this Junior Valley Master was similar to Bai Chuan, but I didn't expect him to be a fool. If your people don't attack, are you going to conjure people out of thin air to fight us? Haha. The people behind him laughed as if she was really a fool. You're the idiot. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at them. Don't you see the two beast kings beside me? So what if you have a beast king? Don't think we don't know that their tribe is very far from here. I'm afraid you can't even summon them over. The Zhan family knew that the Snow Wolf tribe's tribe was very far from here. Don't waste time talking to them. Let's end this quickly, Yu Fan said as he summoned his contracted beast. It was a two-headed python. Although it was a second-rank sacred beast, it had yet to transform into a human form. Chongming, go and play with them. Sima Yue said. Okay. Chongming nodded, then flew into the air and transformed into his body, fighting the two-headed python in the air. Metamorphosis Sacred Beast. The people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were very surprised. Previously, when Chongming was by her side, not a single one of them realized that it was a sacred beast. The other party is stronger than the two-headed python and is also its natural enemy. It seems that we can only delay it for a while. We must kill that man as soon as possible. Come at me together, Yu Fan ordered. Yes, Your Highness, we will definitely get rid of them as soon as possible. Everyone expressed their determination. Although they felt that it was a bit exaggerated to have tens of thousands of people fight against hundreds of people, they still prepared to attack together. Junior Valley Master, what should we do? Seeing that the other party was about to take action, the people from Divine Devil Valley felt a little guilty. What's the hurry? Let's just watch from here. My friends, come out. With a thought from Sima Yue, spirit beasts appeared in front of everyone like magic, forming a semicircle, surrounding the people from the Sage Pavilion. So many spirit beasts. Damn, there are at least tens of thousands of them, right? Heavens, why are there suddenly so many spirit beasts? And they are all divine beasts. There are also many level 5 divine beasts and above. Sima Yue ignored the shock on both sides and said, "This is the first thing I want you to do. Didn't you say that you haven't fought for a long time? Go, it's best if none of those people are left." A woo, roar. Rong Higongyan let out a long roar and led his people to attack the enemy. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave, as well as the people who had gathered, were already stunned when they saw so many divine beasts. Before they could react, the two beast kings had already brought people to attack. Many people were directly torn into two halves and fell to the ground. Some people reacted, but the spirit beasts had already flown in front of them. Their physical bodies could not compare to the claws of the spirit beasts, and many people fell to the ground with injuries. The Snow Wolf clan was not as good at flying as the saber-toothed tigers, so many of the Snow Wolf clan landed on the ground and chased after the injured people. The people from Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clan stared with wide eyes at the scene in front of them. They had thought that there would be a huge battle, but they had only stood there and watched from the beginning. No wonder she was so confident. So this was her trump card. At the same time, everyone looked at Sima Yue with resentment. The Junior Valley Master was really too much. He obviously had such a huge trump card, but he didn't tell them in advance, causing them to be so worried. In less than half an hour, the tens of thousands of people were all killed. Even the Holy Sun and the young cave master did not last long. This was a massacre without any suspense. Yue, we've killed them all. Gong Yen and Rong Yu reported. Sima Yue pursed her lips. These guys had not only been killed, they had been torn to shreds. These tens of thousands of people had all died without a complete corpse. They had either been torn into two halves, missing an arm or a leg, or even decapitated. Over 10,000 corpses like this, it was really disgusting. With a wave of her hand, she kept all the spirit beasts into her spirit pagoda. This time, she even kept the two beast kings. Boom! Before they could say anything, a thunderous boom rang out in the sky, and an incomparably terrifying aura pressed down on them. What's going on? Everyone raised their heads to look. A vortex had appeared in the sky, and that vortex was quickly converging, slowly forming a passageway. Could it be that the battle just now caused the passageway to open earlier? Yuni said in shock. Why are there two passageways? Isn't the passageway outside where we came from? Guofu cried out. The other place is also the primordial lands. Shen Rao said. Looks like this is our passageway back. Xiao Ye said. Why isn't there a passageway to the Yilin continent? Someone cried out. It was only then that everyone realized that there was no passageway to the Yilin continent. They looked at Sima Yue and the others strangely. We didn't come in through the normal passageway in the first place. Sima Yue said as she took out the compass and inserted her spirit energy. That compass flew into the sky, and just as it formed a passageway, it fell down. This caused her expression to change. What's wrong? Seeing that her expression was not right, everyone was in a hurry to leave. It could be that the battle between Chongming and the sacred beasts just now affected the space here. This compass can't be used. Sima Yue said, the passageway to the Yilin continent can't be opened. Then what do we do? Sima Yuqing said worriedly. Sima Yue looked at the passageway above her head and said, the only way is to try these two passageways. I don't know if we'll be able to pass. We can only try. Since this is the case, Junior Valley Master, you should follow us back to the valley. Shen Rao said. Although Sima Yue did not think of going there so early, she had no choice now. But when they flew towards the exit, the Divine Devil Valley and the others easily entered. However, Sima Yue and the others were blocked outside. Looks like we won't be able to go to the primordial lands. Sima Yue said. Then let's try going to our side. Guo Pei Pei said. I'll try first. Sima Yulin said as he flew up. He entered without meeting any obstacles. Looks like it'll work. I'll chase after him. Yun Feng said as he entered. Shen Rao, you should go back. When you go back, get someone to go to the Yilin continent and tell my grandfather and the others that we're safe. We'll think of a way to go back. Sima Yue said. Junior Valley Master, don't worry. We'll definitely do it. Shen Rao promised. Everyone let's go. The passageway is about to close. Everyone raised their heads and saw that the passageway was indeed fading. A group of people quickly flew in. Sima Yue led everyone and followed the Gu clan into the passageway to the restless continent. The Yun clan followed behind them. The passageway closed after everyone entered. Chapter 376. Sima Yue felt as though her entire body was being torn apart. She was sure that the others were not feeling too well either. It seemed that the passageway wasn't that stable. Bang! The sound of water splashing could be heard as the group was thrown into a lake. Cough, cough. Sima Yue came out of the water and wiped the water off her body. She could not help but curse. He was thrown into the water when he went in, and he was thrown into the water when he came out. Is everyone all right? Guo Pei Pei popped out and asked the people around her. I'm fine. Let's go to the shore. Sima Yue said. Fortunately, they were not far from the shore and soon swam to the shore. Why are there fewer people? Wei Ziqi saw that there were not enough people, especially those from the Yun family. There were only 2 or 3 people with them. This passageway is moving. If the time difference is too long, it will appear in different places. Guo Pei Pei's impressive figure became even more prominent because of her wet clothes. She quickly used her spiritual energy to evaporate the water on her body and returned to her normal appearance. Yulin and Yun Feng aren't here either. Fatty Chu said. Don't worry, Yun Feng knew that Yulin would be teleported somewhere else, that's why he chased after him. They haven't been separated for long, so they should have been sent to the same place. Guo Pei Pei said. Is this the restless continent? As expected, the spiritual qi here is much denser than where we are. Sima Yuqing sensed it and her eyes were filled with envy. That's right, it's no wonder the people here are generally stronger than us. Sima Yuyang said. You, we're going home now. Why don't you come with us? Gua Pei Pei said. You saved us. We'll repay you. Do you know how to get to the Yi-Lin continent? Sima Yue asked. We don't know, but I think the old ancestor and the others might know. Gua Pei Pei said. We're not familiar with this place, so we can only trouble you guys. Sima Yue said. What about you, Yulin? Sima Yulan asked. The Yun family and our Gua family are not far from each other. I think that if Yun Feng did not bring him back to the Yun family, he would have sent him to our family. Gua Pei Pei said. Moreover, I think that he would have guessed that you were at our place and would come looking for you. If he doesn't come after a long time, we'll go look for him. Sima Yu took out the jade stone and looked at it. Sima Yulin was really far away from her. We can find our way back before he returns. Then let's go. We're still quite far from the city. Gua Pei Pei said. Everyone sat on the flying beasts and flew for 2 days before they saw a city, which showed how big the restless continent was. They went to the Spirit Master Guild and used the teleportation array to go to another medium-sized city. Then, they went to the city where the Gua family was located. Sima Yue started vomiting as soon as she stepped out of the teleportation portal, which shocked the Gua family. Gua Fu laughed and teased her. Not at all. You're so strong, and you're also an array master, but you fainted in this teleportation array. Sima Yu waved her hand, looking like she was suffering unspeakably. The teleportation array here was much better than the one in the Yi-Lin continent, but because it was so far away, she still felt terrible. Sima Yuqing patted her on the back, saying, The first time I saw her, we used the teleportation array as well. At that time, I was so happy to see her faint. Looks like we can only stay in the city today. Gua Pei Pei saw Sima Yue in this state and brought them to the inn that the Gua family opened in the city. The innkeepers saw that Gua Pei Pei and the others had returned and immediately came out from behind the counter. He bowed and said, Young miss, didn't you go to the little realm? Why are you back before it's time? Something happened, so the portal opened early. Gua Pei Pei said, Go and prepare some rooms. We'll be resting here today. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper quickly prepared the rooms. He gave the key to the best room to Gua Pei Pei, but Gua Pei Pei turned around and handed it to Sima Yu Ran and the others who were supporting Sima Yue. You can take her to rest first. Gua Pei Pei said. Sima Yu Ran took the key and brought Sima Yue to rest according to the room number on the key. The others followed the waiter to the backyard, leaving Gua Pei Pei and the innkeeper behind to give some instructions. Young miss, who is that? The innkeeper asked curiously. That was the sky room. Normally, it was not open to the public. Only the young master and young mistress of the Gua family could stay there. However, Gua Pei Pei had given it to that sickly person. This made him very curious about that person. He is the benefactor of our Gua family. If not for him, our Gua family would not have been able to make it out alive. Gua Pei Pei said, Furthermore, his status is extremely high. Get people to take care of him carefully. Do you understand? Gua Pei Pei instructed. Yes, young Mississippi, the innkeeper replied. Gua Pei Pei called Gua Fu over, saying, Hurry back to the clan first. Tell my father about what happened in the little realm. Tell him to be wary of the Zhan family. I'll wait for you to get better before bringing them back. Yes, big sister. Gua Fu did not delay at all. She brought Guoliang and the others and left. Although the Gua family was said to be the biggest family here, their main house was not in the city. Instead, it was in the outskirts of the city. After leaving the city, it was half a day's journey by flying beast. Just as Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the restless continent, the people from the primordial lands were also returning. Unlike other continents, the primordial lands' passageways were fixed. Although the locations of the little realms were different, there was only one exit. Some of the sex people were already waiting outside. They were prepared to bring their own people back. After all, they were people below the divine rank. If they met with any trouble on the way back, they would just play around. It's open, someone said. Everyone saw a spatial passageway slowly opening on the mountain peak. Disciples came out one after another. When they saw their own sex, they hurried over to avoid being killed by accident. They also told their sects about their encounters inside. The people from the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley were not far from each other. The people from the Cloud Cave glanced over and said faintly, "Many people die every time they enter this little realm." Sing Cheng, do you think all the people from the Divine Devil Valley died in there? Sing Cheng was the leader of the Divine Devil Valley. Hearing the provocation from the Cloud Cave, he raised his eyebrows and said, "You're right. Maybe all the people from the Cloud Cave died. When that time comes, we will definitely feel sorry for you. Who knows who will die in there?" The person from the Cloud Cave did not say anything else. If he said too much, he might give himself away. Time passed slowly. A few thousand people came out. However, there were no people from the Divine Devil Valley or the Moonbow clan. When the people from the two sects saw the smiles on the faces of the Cloud Cave, they seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 377. Was it really like what the people of the Cloud Cave said, that all of their people had died inside? Judging from the Cloud Cave people's expressions, they seemed to be very sure that their people had come out. Sing Cheng, do you think they did something? As far as I know, quite a few of them have entered. The leader of the Moonbow clan said to Sing Cheng. Sing Cheng looked at those people unhappily and said, "If they really dare to do anything, the Divine Devil Valley will not let them off. The tunnel is about to close." The members of the Moonbow clan said worriedly as they watched the tunnel fade. Those who wanted to come out should have already come out. Other than us, the people from Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion have not come out. Sing Cheng said, "Could it be that something happened this time?" The members of the Moonbow clan were all very worried. "I hope not." Not only were the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan worried, even the members of the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were worried, because none of their members had come out. Could it be that something really happened? But that wasn't right. The two sects combined had far more people than the Demonic God sect and the Moonbow clan. Yi Yu Fan also had a sacred beast. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any accidents. However, there were always so many accidents, and this accident caused them to suffer heavy losses. The tunnel is about to disappear. Someone is coming out. Someone shouted, and everyone turned to look at the entrance of the passage. This was especially true for the Divine Devil Valley, Moonbow clan, Cloud Cave, and Sage Pavilion, who had yet to receive anyone. They stared at the exit so hard that their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Uni led the members of the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan out of the tunnel just as it was about to close. The people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were extremely happy, while the people from the Sage Pavilion and the White Cloud Cave were extremely shocked and furious. They said that they were going to deal with the Divine Devil Valley's people. Now that they had come out and their own people hadn't come out, this meant that their own people had been killed by them. Aya, what you said just now was right. There really are people inside who can't come out. Fortunately, it's not our people. Sung Ching said with a big laugh. Greetings to the 10th Elder of the Outer Valley. Uni brought everyone to the Divine Devil Valley's position and greeted Sing Cheng. You guys came out so late, you really worried us to death. Sung Cheng said as he patted their shoulders. Granny Cloud. Xiao Ya led her people in greeting towards the Moonbow clan members. Are you guys okay? Why did you come out so late? Granny Yun looked at Xiao Ya and the others lovingly. Yes, I was delayed by something. Xiao Ya said. Is it because you didn't know that the passage would open in advance, so you didn't have time to come out? Granny Yun asked. No, it's something else, said Xiao Ya. How could that be? Why didn't any of our men come out? Cloud Cave's people said in disbelief. Seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people reporting their safety, they said angrily, Did you kill all of our people? It must be you. Uni glanced at him indifferently and said, The little world is so big, and there are so many people inside. You're sure that we killed your people, but do you know that your people will definitely find us? I heard that the number of people from your Cloud Cave is 3 times more than ours. What, are they looking for trouble inside? Seng Tai stared at the people of Cloud Cave and said, Whether there is or not, I think the people of Cloud Cave should know. Uni said, Let's go back. Cloud Cave's people shouted at the people behind them and leaped away. Although the people from the Sage Pavilion didn't say anything, they saw that the people from the Divine Devil Valley were not looking good, and left after looking at them. The people from the other powers left after receiving their own people. Now that the passage was completely closed, even if there were people inside, they couldn't come out, and so they all left. When only the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan were left, Tseng Cheng stopped smiling and asked, "What happened?" "We were attacked by the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion together, and we lost a portion of our people," Yuni said. "And the Sage Pavilion gave Yu Fan a sacred beast, and we were almost completely wiped out," Xiaoya added. Sacred beast. Everyone was shocked. Only people below the divine rank were allowed to enter. If there really was a sacred beast, how did they survive? "I didn't think that the Sage Pavilion would dare to do such a thing," Granny Yun said hatefully. "Do they really think that they are strong just because they have more people? Cloud Cave as well. If they really want to fight, my Moonbow clan will not be bullied." Compared to Granny Yun's anger, Tseng Cheng was more rational. He said, "Since they have more people than you, and they have a sacred beast, how did you all escape? Why didn't any of them come out?" "It's all thanks to the Junior Valley Master. If not for him, the ones who came out now would be the people from the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave," Yuni said. "Junior Valley Master? Bai Chuan? Wasn't he not allowed to enter?" "Granny Yun, it wasn't Bai Chuan, it was another Junior Valley Master," Xiaoya said. "Could it be the second Valley Lord's disciple?" Tseng Cheng said. "That's right. She was the one who saved us first, and then killed the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's other forces that they had gathered." "How did you meet him? Hurry up and tell us everything that happened." Tseng Cheng was a little confused as he said. Thus, they recounted how they had been chased down and how Sima Yue had gracefully appeared out of nowhere and saved them all. Then, how she had saved the people from the Moonbow clan, and how she had killed the 10,000 people. This Junior Valley Master is so domineering. Seng Tai laughed loudly after hearing everything. The other party had wanted to use this opportunity to kill their younger generation, but they had not expected that all of their own people would be killed. At the same time, his eyes were filled with anger. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave really wanted to start a fight. The battle between the two sacred beasts affected the space inside. It's no wonder that the passage opened earlier. Granny Yun said, "This time, we really have to thank you all. If you were your Junior Valley Master, our people would be in danger." Howell said. Tseng Cheng said, "Granny Yun, this time, our Divine Devil Valley will not let this matter rest. What does your Moonbow clan say?" Do you think they can kill our people just because they want to?" Granny Yun snorted coldly. "Wait for us to go back and report to the sect master. If there is a decision, we will let you know." "All right, I will also go back and report to the Valley Lord and the others." Tseng Cheng said. "Goodbye." Granny Yun brought Xiaoya and the others and left. Tseng Cheng also brought Yuni and the others back to the Divine Devil Valley to report to the Valley Lord. The other disciples of the Divine Devil Valley quickly found out about what had happened in the Little Realm. While they were furious, they were also curious about Sima Yue. They all hoped that they could meet their domineering Junior Valley Master soon. Chapter 378. Achoo! 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 Sima Yue, who everyone was thinking about, sneezed a few times on the bed. Thinking, scolding, and nagging. Is someone nagging me? She rubbed her nose and said, "Creak." The door opened and Bei Gong Tang walked in. Seeing a certain someone awake, she said, "You've already slept for 2 days. Haven't you slept enough?" Sleeping is such a pleasant thing." Sima Yue stretched herself on the bed and placed her hands behind her head. She bent one leg and crossed the other. This time, she slept for 2 days straight. Actually, it was not because she was dizzy from the teleportation array, but because she had never been so relaxed when she was in the Little Realm. When he was cultivating in the saber-toothed tiger tribe, he didn't rest for a moment for several months. He was constantly cultivating, and cultivating. If she stopped, she would feel the danger of her body being burned. Later on, after leaving the saber-toothed tiger's territory and leaving the Little Realm, although she didn't cultivate all the time, she didn't relax and rest either. It wasn't until they arrived here that she took the opportunity to rest. Ever since Bei Gong Tang met Sima Yue, she had never seen her sleep on the bed for such a long time. When she thought about how hard Yue had worked, she admitted that she couldn't compare to her. Bei Gong Tang sat at the bedside and looked at Sima Yue, who was dressed as a man. She sighed in her heart. When will you be able to change back to wearing female clothes like us? I think a lot of people will be charmed to death. When are you going to change back to women's clothes? Sima Yue was stunned. She had been asked this question before, but she had never thought about it seriously. She had always felt that since her father had specially instructed her to do this, it must be very important. However, she had never seriously thought about why her father would do this. She only felt that everything would be clear once she met her father. However, why did her father dress up as a man? And he even said that it would endanger his life? And where exactly was his father at this moment? Yue, what are you thinking about? Bei Gong Tang's voice pulled her back from her thoughts. Nothing. Sima Yue smiled and said, You didn't come here to ask me this, right? Bei Gong Tang said, I came to tell you that Gua Pei Pei said that her father personally came to bring you to the Gua clan as a guest. He's the head of the family, but when he found out that you were sleeping, he was eagerly waiting in the hall. The Gua family head came? Why didn't you call me? Sima Yue said. Didn't I come over as soon as I got the news? Bei Gong Tang shrugged. She had been in the house the entire time, so she didn't know. Sima Yue got up from the bed and entered the spirit pagoda to wash up before leaving with Bei Gong Tang. They went to the lobby of the inn and saw a middle-aged man sitting in the middle. Gua Pei Pei was sitting beside him, talking about something. Gua Pei Pei and her father Gua Si Ming stood up when they saw them. Yue, this is my father. Gua Pei Pei smiled and said, Father, she is Yue, the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. I'm really sorry. I slept too much these 2 days. They didn't even inform me that Uncle Guo was coming. Sima Yue apologized to the two of them. I was the one who told them not to disturb you. Gua Si Ming said, I heard that you weren't feeling well. It wouldn't be good to disturb your rest. Uncle Guo, you don't have to call me little friend. Just call me by my name. Sima Yue said, Pei Pei and I are friends. You are naturally my elder. Since that's the case, I'll be thick-skinned and act as your elder. Gua Si Ming said. Yue, I told my father about what happened in the Little Realm. He asked you to stay there for a while and wait for Yulin to come back. Gua Pei Pei said. Does Uncle Guo know of any way for us to return to the Yilin continent? Sima Yue asked. I don't have a way either. But I think the older generation in the family might know. After all, we have to travel through space. I don't have the power to do that. Gua Si Ming said, You can stay in our residence and wait for your other companion. Then I'll have to trouble you. After a while, the Sima family came down and followed Gua Si Ming to the Gua residence in the suburbs. The Gua family knew about what happened in the Little Realm. Although they didn't know Sima Yue's identity, the Gua family was very grateful and courteous to them. Gua Si Ming specially prepared a large courtyard for them. After the 10 of them moved in, it was very spacious. At first, the Gua family would come to see them with the flag of gratitude. 2 days later, Sima Yue and the others expressed that they liked peace and quiet. Hence, Gua Si Ming ordered that the Gua family was not to disturb Sima Yue and the others. Since then, the courtyard had quieted down. After a few days, the Yun family head came to visit and requested to see Sima Yue. When Sima Yue heard the word, request to see, she couldn't help but pursed her lips. She was really not used to this identity. Even the head of the family had to use this word to see her. Actually, she didn't know that to the people of the lower continents, even a random disciple would be treated with respect, let alone someone of her status. What's more, she was the future successor of a power. The Yun family head and the Yun family head were very similar in both appearance and temperament. However, in his eyes, there were more traces of age. Greetings to the Junior Valley Master. Yun Jin Wei bowed to Sima Yue. Sima Yue was too lazy to be courteous now. She raised her hand and said, Yun family head is too courteous. May I know why you've come to find me today? She saw that the Yun family head had a worried look on his face, as if he was worried about something. Yun Jinwei looked at Sima Yue and said, "I won't hide it from the Junior Valley Master. I've come this time to ask for a favor. At the same time, it concerns your companions." "Is it because of Yu Lin and Yun Feng?" Sima Yue asked. Yun Jinwei nodded and said, "Yes. I heard that the Junior Valley Master and your companions can determine each other's location. I want to ask, is it still possible now?" Sima Yue took out the jade and looked at it. She nodded and said, "It's still possible. Did something happen to Yu Lin and the others?" "It's like this. A few years ago, I made a soul lamp for Feng. He can use it to determine whether Feng is safe or not. However, recently, we discovered that the soul lamp is flickering. Furthermore, they haven't returned since they left the little realm. That's why I'm worried that something has happened to them outside. I heard that you can determine their location, so I've specially come to ask the Junior Valley Master to help us find them." Soul lamp was a lamp made from a person's spiritual energy. If the soul lamp flickered, it meant that the owner was in danger and his life was at stake. Chapter 379. Knowing that Sima Yulin might be in danger, Sima Yu could no longer sit still. She did not need Yun Jinwei to say anything as she stood up and said, "Let's go. Let me talk to Pepe and the others." Half an hour later, all the members of the Sima family left Gua Mansion together. Before leaving, Gua Siming said that he would try his best to find a way for them to go back. The Yun clansmen were already waiting in the city. Under Sima Yu's guidance, they rushed towards the south. After passing through a few teleportation arrays, they were not too far away from Sima Yulin and the others. However, Yun Jinwei had said that they were currently in a no-man's land, so they could only take flying beasts. Will Yulin be all right?" Sima Yuqing said worriedly. They had a good relationship with Yulin since they were young. If something happened to him, everyone would be very sad. Sima Yue looked at the jade stone in her hand. The dot on it was still moving, saying, "It's all right. It's not like we don't know Yulin's abilities. No matter how big the danger, he will definitely be able to overcome it." Sima Yuqing nodded, hoping that what Sima Yu said was true. "Junior Valley Master, how far are we from them?" Yun Jinwei asked. "According to the current speed, it will take at least 2 more days." Sima Yue asked, "Patriarch Yun, what exactly is that place? Why isn't there a teleportation array for such a long distance?" "That place is a dangerous place. Because the environment is too harsh, even those with God-level strength can't last more than a month inside. That's why it hasn't become a city yet," Yun Jinwei said. "What's inside?" Sima Yuyang asked. "Most of them are swamps or mountain ranges. There is a poisonous miasma that has not dissipated for 10,000 years. There are also many poisonous spirit beasts." Yun Jinwei said, "There are many divine beasts and even many sacred beasts." Sima Yue looked at the people she brought with her. There were quite a number of God-ranked and above people, but she wasn't sure if it would be enough. "How did Yu Lin and the others get sent here?" Sima Yuran asked. "You just left a little earlier than us. You're so far behind, and you're so unlucky to have entered this place." Fatty Chu said. They rushed day and night, and after 2 days, they were finally not far from Sima Yulin and the others. But they couldn't fly anymore, because in front of them was a thick poison barrier that couldn't be dissolved. "Yulin? Are you all right?" Sima Yu took out the Mother-Sun stone and tried to contact Sima Yulin. "You?" Sima Yulin's weak voice sounded. Although he was not in good condition, at least he was still alive. All the members of the Sima family smiled. "Yulin, how are you now? Is Yun Feng with you?" Sima Yue asked. "Yun Feng is with me, but his current situation is worse than mine." Sima Yulin couldn't be bothered to ask why Sima Yu and the others were here, and told them about Yun Feng's situation. "You guys wait inside, we'll come and save you immediately." Sima Yu said. "You have to be careful, the poison here is too thick. You can't see anything after entering, and there are also strange poison beasts." Sima Yulin said. "Okay, we got it. Hang in there." Sima Yu gave the Mother-Sun stone to Sima Yuyang after she finished speaking, and got him to keep in contact with Sima Yulin outside, so that he could keep an eye on their situation. She took out an antidote pill and ate it, then tried to walk in, to feel the poison. But before she could take 2 steps, she felt uncomfortable and had no choice but to retreat. What a strong poison. Yun clan leader, you guys try. Divine rank might be able to hold on a little longer. But Yun Jinwei didn't go far before he came back. Looks like ordinary people can't go in. Sima Yu said. Then what do we do? With such a strong poison, won't Yu Lin and the others die in there? Sima Yu Qing said anxiously. Sima Yu thought about it and said, I have an idea. You guys wait for me here. As she spoke, she walked into the poison. The moment she entered, crimson flames surrounded her, burning away all the poison around her, forming a vacuum. What a high temperature! Yun Jinwei sighed when he felt the terrifying temperature. Perhaps only a flame like this could burn a path through such a dense poisonous miasma. Sima Yu went in 3 to 4 meters before she could no longer see her silhouette. It could be seen how thick the poison was. The jade stone was too close, so it was useless. But the visibility here was too low, and she didn't know where Sima Yu Lin was. Emo Sha, can you tell the direction here? She called Emo Sha out to ask. Emo Sha glanced at her and said, Follow me. Emo Sha led her in a direction, and told her where there was a little swamp. After walking for a few tens of meters, he said, We're here. Sima Yu saw Sima Yu Lin and the others, one sitting and one lying down. There was a white circle around them that blocked the poison outside. Although Sima Yu Lin was weak and had many injuries on his body, he still had the strength to sit up. This meant that he was conscious. As for Yun Feng, he had already fainted. Yu Lin. She walked over and called out to Sima Yu Lin. Sima Yu Lin opened his eyes and saw Sima Yu surrounded by a ball of flame. His eyes shone with hope. Because Emo Sha was hidden in the poison, he wasn't seen. Yu, quickly save Yun Feng. Sima Yu Lin said, I'll take you guys out first. Sima Yu said, remove the array, and I'll take you guys into the spirit pagoda. Yun Feng was already unconscious. Even if they went in, they wouldn't find anything. Okay. Sima Yu Lin didn't hesitate and immediately removed the array protecting them. Sima Yu brought them into the spirit pagoda at the same time. There are still people from the Yun clan waiting outside. I can't cure you now. You guys hold on for a while. Sima Yu said as she went out and got Emo Sha to take her out. When they were about to reach the edge of the poison, Emo Sha took back the devil's snare bracelet. She called Sima Yu Lin and Yun Feng out and dragged them out. We're out. Yu, are you guys okay? Feng. The people outside were extremely happy when they saw them come out. Sima Yu released Sima Yu Lin and Sima Yu and gave him a pill. After that, she placed Yun Feng on the ground and fed him a pill. She untied his clothes and took out a silver needle to perform acupuncture on him, expelling all the poison from his body. Once the poison was expelled, the pill in his body took effect and Yun Feng woke up. Sima Yu quickly removed the silver needles from his body. Then, she took out another set and went to the side to treat Sima Yu Lin's poison. Feng, how did you get sent to a place like this? Yun Jinwei saw that Yun Feng had woken up and his heart finally calmed down. Yun Feng saw the situation clearly and knew that he was safe. He said solemnly, Father, we weren't sent here. We were forced in. Chapter 380. What? Everyone was shocked. Who forced you inside? Yun Jinwei asked with a dark face. Yun Yi and Yun Feng were the 2 sons that he loved very much. Now, someone actually dared to do such a thing to them. If it weren't for Sima Yu bringing them along and bringing them out with that kind of flame, he would never have been able to see his youngest son again. It's the Zhan family. Yun Feng covered the wound on his arm and said, After we came out, we were still some distance away from here. When we were preparing to find a teleportation array to return, we met the Zhan family before we entered the city. The other party was a divine-level expert, so we could only run. It was a good thing that Yu Lin had many teleportation arrays, allowing us to escape from his hands a few times. But in the end, we were still forced into this place. Yun Feng made it sound simple, but everyone could imagine the soul-stirring battle and the despair of being at the end of the road. The needle in Sima Yoyue's hand paused. The Zhan family? Good, very good, she said coldly as she continued to give Sima Yulin acupuncture. After we entered the poisonous miasma, we chased them for a few steps and escaped. Then they waited outside for 2 days and left when they thought we were dead. Yunfeng continued, it's a good thing that Yulin brought along quite a few antidote pills with him, as well as the protection of the array formation. It was able to fend off a certain degree of the poisonous gas. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to last until now. The Zhan family is really bold. Yun Jinwei gritted his teeth and said, recently, my Yun family has been keeping a low profile. Does the Zhan family really think that my Yun family is afraid of them? When we get back, we'll start the plan. I want the Zhan family to cease to exist on this continent. Originally, when the disciples of the Yun family returned and told them about what happened in the Little Realm, the Yun family was already extremely angry. However, before they could make a decision to suppress the Zhan family, they learned that something had happened to Yunfeng. A group of people rushed over in a hurry. Now that he knew that his son was forced into the poisonous miasma by the Zhan family, he was furious and decided to destroy the Zhan family. Count us in. Sima Yuyu's voice sounded. She had already finished her acupuncture. Although Sima Yulin still looked very weak, his life was no longer in danger. Yun Jinwei originally wanted to say that there was no need, but then he remembered that she had over 10,000 spirit beasts. Seeing their own people being bullied to the point of almost losing their lives, they would definitely be angry. He nodded and said, all right, no problem. Although the poison in their bodies has been forced out, the condition of the two of them is not very good. Let's find a place to let them rest for 2 days. Sima Yuyu said, at the same time, we can also understand the situation of the Zhan clan. All right. Yun Jinwei was now extremely grateful to Sima Yue. Luckily, she knew medicine. Otherwise, even if she saved them from the poison, she would not have been able to expel the poison and save them. Sima Yuyu called Little Rock out and got Sima Yuyang to help Sima Yulin up. Yun Jinwei helped Yun Feng onto his own flying beast. After the Yun family members had all boarded, the 2 flying beasts flew back in the direction they came from. After leaving the danger zone, they landed on a mountain and set up a tent for the 2 injured people to rest. After settling down, Sima Yue went to look for Yun Jinwei. Patriarch Yun, please tell us about the Zhan family's situation. Okay. It turned out that the Restless Continent and the Yi-Lin Continent had different levels of power. The Zhan family, the Gua family, and the Yun family used to be the 3 largest families. Among them, the Gua family and the Yun family were on good terms. Ever since the Zhan family's patriarch came to power, their relationship with the 2 families slowly deteriorated. Now, they even wanted to swallow the 2 families and become the most powerful family. The Zhan family was originally stronger than the Gua and Yun family. Later on, one of their elders became the deputy pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion. Many people joined the Sage Pavilion, so they became even more arrogant. Now that they had colluded with the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, they began to act against the Gua and Yun family. So you're saying that if we want to act, we will not only have to deal with the Zhan family, but also the Sage Pavilion? Sima Yue asked. If the Sage Pavilion must protect the Zhan family, Yun Jinwei said. Regardless of the Sage Pavilion, the Zhan family dared to kill Yulin, so they must bear the consequences. If the Sage Pavilion insists on interfering, then we don't mind taking care of another group of people. Anyway, the Sage Pavilion wanted to kill my Divine Devil Valley's people in the Little Realm. This grudge has already been formed. Sima Yue snorted, how strong are the Zhan family and the Sage Pavilion? The Zhan family has more divine-ranked people than our 2 families. If we include the Sage Pavilion, they have at least 40 people. Yun Jinwei said. How many divine-ranked people do your 2 families have? Adding them together, we have 30 people. It shouldn't be more than 5. Yun Jinwei said, not only that, they have more spirit paragons than us. Looks like there's a huge disparity in power. Sima Yue said. If the Sage Pavilion doesn't interfere, we will definitely win. If they interfere, even if we have to destroy ourselves, we will drag them down with us. Yun Jinwei said hatefully. These few years, the Zhan family had become more and more arrogant. The Yun family had long wanted to retaliate. If it's possible, I hope that you don't get involved. Otherwise, you'll be implicated. Yun Jinwei said. The Zhan family has already touched my bottom line. How can we retreat? Sima Yue said, I'll think of a way to deal with the remaining 10 over divine ranked people. Yun family head, I still have some matters to attend to. I'll be heading out first. After leaving Yun Jinwei's tent, she found a quiet valley and called out Rong, Gong Yen and the elders. This is the outside world? The elders looked around. The scenery was not much different from the inside. I can't feel that layer of suppression. One of the elders said excitedly. Really? That means we can advance in rank. Ha, I can already feel the spirit chi in my body moving. Me too. I feel like I'm about to advance in rank. Sima Yue called out Chongming, and those people immediately quieted down. I've already brought you out according to our agreement. She looked at them and continued, to ensure that you won't go back on your words, swear. Swear? The elders were stunned. Why did they have to swear? Why do you want us to swear? You don't want to believe us. Some of the elders were unhappy. Of course it's to be safe. Sima Yue said, you haven't advanced in rank yet. If you all advance in rank and become sacred beasts, one Chongming may not be able to suppress you all. What if you go back on your words? Of course, to be fair, I'll swear as well. No, that's disrespectful to us. The elder of the saber-toothed tiger clan immediately rejected it. They had originally thought that when they advanced in rank to become sacred beasts, they would go back on their words and leave Sima Yue. If they swore, how could they leave? Sima Yue laughed coldly. It's fine if you don't want to. Anyway, you haven't advanced in rank to become sacred beasts. I can kill you all right now. Chapter 381. The elder who spoke felt his breathing become sluggish. Being stared at by Sima Yue, he felt a chill down his spine. The killing intent in her eyes was so strong that it could feel that if it insisted, she would definitely kill it without hesitation. Just like that time in the clan's land, Chongming had easily injured him. We agree, Rong said. We also agree. Gongyan's expression was not good. After all, his own clansmen were being threatened. Sima Yue looked at them and said, then swear. The elders all swore that they would follow Sima Yue for 100 years and be at her beck and call. Just as they finished speaking, a white light descended from heaven and earth and entered their bodies. This was the effect of the rules. If they violated their oath today, the rules of heaven and earth would kill them. Sima Yue also swore that she would set them free after 100 years. After the oath was sworn, the same laws descended and entered her body. Not only that, she also called out all the mythological beasts with strength above level 5 and made them swear an oath. Knowing that their king and clan elder had already made the oath, these divine beasts did not hesitate and followed suit. Yue, do you want us to stay by your side for the next 100 years? Rong asked. Although the place Sima Yue had given them allowed them to breathe, they could not cultivate like other places. They were unwilling to be delayed for 100 years because of this. Don't worry, I'll be going to the primordial land soon. Once I'm there, I'll naturally find a good place for you to stay. Sima Yue said, if there's a need, I'll look for you. Rong nodded. That was good. All right, you can all advance now. Sima Yue kept the spiritual beasts that were at the pinnacle of the divine beasts and kept the rest back into the spirit pagoda. Which one of you feel that you can break through to the sacred beast realm? She asked. The answer she got shocked her. There were actually more than 30 of them from the two races. Other than the elders and the beast kings, there were also quite a few who could have become sacred beasts a long time ago. Including Thousand Resonants, there are a total of 39 of them. You can cultivate here and feel the difference in the laws. Sima Yue said. All right. Although the spirit beasts did not know why Sima Yue left them here, they really scattered around the valley and felt the difference between this place and the little realm. Sima Yue took out an elixir furnace and herbs and started to make elixirs. The divinity elixir was not only useful for people at the peak of the spiritual venerable realm, but also for spiritual beasts. Although the herbs were hard to find and the refining process was difficult, the grade was not high. It was only 6th grade. She first contacted Bei Gongtang and asked her to tell Yunjin Wei and the others that she would be staying here for a few days. She then told them her location so that it would be easier for Bei Gongtang and the others to find her. Then she began to refine the divinity pill. She had never concocted this pill before. In the beginning, she had failed many times and wasted a lot of herbs. Fortunately, she had a lot of medicinal herbs, which was enough for her to squander. This divinity elixir was indeed a heaven-defying elixir. The refinement process was so complicated that even she couldn't help but sigh. This failure rate could be said to be unprecedented. However, it was a good thing that her mental strength was strong. There were many times when she was on the verge of failure and saved the herbs in the furnace. 39 elixirs took her an entire 4 days to refine. She gave out the divinity elixirs to every spiritual beast, letting them eat it and advance in rank. Then she continued to refine them. 2 days later, 30 divinity elixirs came out of the furnace. 69 divinity elixirs, but the success rate was only 60%. She wasted 40% of the herbs. These few days, she had spent at least a few billion worth of herbs. At the same time, the spiritual beasts had all successfully advanced to sacred beasts. 38 sacred beasts. Adding on her own too, there were 40 of them. Even in the primordial lands, it was not easy to see such a scene. Are they all done? She asked Chongming. Chongming nodded, saying, they've all successfully advanced in rank. Not bad. Sima Yue said. Looking at Thousand Resonance who had already advanced to a sacred beast, she said happily, Thousand Resonance, you've already grown your 8th tail? That's great. If you want to transform, wait until this matter is over. I'll refine some pills for you. Master. Thousand Resonance waved its 8 long tails and replied. It was very happy. Because by following her, it had advanced from a level 4 divine beast to a sacred beast in just a few years. Its strength had increased as easily as drinking water. And now that it had grown its 8th tail, its bloodline power had increased by quite a bit. Sima Yue looked at the other sacred beasts. Snow Wolf King Rong walked over and said, thank you. Becoming a sacred beast had always been their dream. It was the pursuit of their ancestors. Now, it had finally been realized in their generation. And if not for her divinity elixirs, they might not have all successfully advanced in rank. You're welcome. Since we're all together now, I'll naturally think of you better. If your performance satisfies me, if any of your clansmen want to advance to a sacred beast, I can help. But if I'm not happy, I'd rather destroy these divinity elixirs than give them to you. Sima Yue said as she glanced at the saber-toothed tiger. It wasn't that she didn't know what the saber-toothed tiger was thinking. If they weren't willing to work for her, there was no need for her to give them these good things. After all, she was only good to herself. All right, let's go back. She kept all the spirit beasts into the spirit pagoda, then sat on Little Rock and returned to the camp. Seeing her return, Bei Gongtang walked over and said, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, I would have gone to look for you. What's the matter? She jumped down from Little Rock and asked. Yun clan head said that they've found the person who was chasing after Yulin and the others. Bei Gongtang said, but it looks like that person is about to leave, so we're preparing to make a move. Found? In the city in front. Bei Gongtang replied. All right. Fatty, go and tell Yun clan head that we can move at any time. Sima Yue said. Fatty, who was at the side, glanced at Sima Yue and muttered to himself as he went to the Yun clan. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang returned to her tent. Bei Gongtang saw that she was very tired and asked, what have you been doing these few days? You look so tired. Weren't you going to let those spirit beasts become sacred beasts? That's right. Sima Yue swallowed a drop of spirit fluid and said, to be safe, I refined a batch of divinity pills. I just finished refining them not too long ago. How are the results? Sima Yu smiled happily, saying, although that pill is rather hard to refine, the effects aren't bad. With the saber-toothed tiger and snow wolf added together, we have a total of 38 sacred beasts. Thousand Resonance has also advanced in rank to become a sacred beast. Including Halcyon, we have 40 sacred beasts. Adding on those sacred beasts, even if we go against the Sage Pavilion and the Zhan clan, we won't be at a disadvantage. Chapter 382. Bei Gongtang looked at the smile on Sima Yue's face and felt a little heartache, saying, "Refining 60 divinity pills in 6 days must have been hard on you. It's a pity that my level isn't high enough to help you." "Alright, what are you blaming yourself for?" Sima Yue glared at her and said, "I'll need you to do a lot of things in the future. When the time comes, you won't be able to escape even if you want to." At this moment, Fatty walked in and said, "The Yun family is already packing up the tents. It will be ready soon. I'm going to pack mine too." With that, he went out again. "I'm going too," Bei Gongtang said as she walked out. Sima Yue only had a tent and a bed. With a wave of her hand, she kept everything inside and went out to wait for the others. After a while, everyone was done packing up. Yun Feng walked over and bowed to Sima Yue to thank her for saving his life. Later on, he heard about how Sima Yue had saved his life that day. Although he had recovered for a few days, Sima Yue was not around and he did not have the chance to thank her. Sima Yue didn't think much of it and said, "If it wasn't for you, Yulin wouldn't have been able to escape from that person's hands. Me saving you can be considered helping him to repay you. Yulin is really lucky to have a relative like you." Yun Feng sighed. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu from the side, and his lips curled into a faint smile. Although he could take revenge himself in the future, he also liked to see her angry because of his injuries. Yun Jinwei walked over and told them to set off. Then he led them towards the small city. Perhaps it was because the outside of the city was a no-man's land, so there weren't many people coming and going. The city wasn't big either. Zhan Xiaoyuan walked out of the inn and prepared to return to the Zhan clan through the teleportation array. He had already reported the matter of killing the young master of the Yun family to the main family, and the main family told him that he could receive a reward when he returned. Therefore, after settling the matters here, he happily prepared to return to his home. But when he walked out, he saw someone he shouldn't have seen. "Yun Feng? Didn't you guys enter the poisonous miasma for more than 2 days? How can you still be alive?" Zhan Xiaoyuan was very surprised, his face full of disbelief. Yun Feng didn't say anything. Fear flashed across his face as he turned around and ran out of the city. "You still want to run? Since I didn't kill you last time, I'll personally send you on your way this time," Zhan Xiaoyuan said as he chased after him. This kind of city had a rule that prohibited fighting within the city. He could only chase Yun Feng out of the city. The main family had already told him to go back and receive his reward. If they found out that Yun Feng was still alive, they would definitely accuse him of lying about the situation. Not only would they not reward him, they would also punish him. So no matter what, he had to kill Yun Feng today. He followed Yun Feng all the way to the outskirts of the city. Here they could fly. He saw Yun Feng fly to a mountain in the outskirts and sped up to chase after him. Before he landed, he saw a group of people on the mountain. His expression changed and he turned around to flee. However, he didn't know when, but there were a few people waiting for him in the air. "Yulin, was he the one who forced you into the poisonous miasma?" Sima Yue looked at Zhan Xiaoyuan and asked. Sima Yulin replied. "It was this person who almost made him unable to see her forever. This person deserved to die." Without saying anything, the Yun family's divine-ranked experts all went to battle. Zhan Xiaoyuan, who had just advanced to the divine rank, could not withstand the attacks and was quickly killed without leaving a trace. "Junior Valley Master, let's go back to the clan and discuss how to deal with the Zhan family and the Sage Pavilion." Yun Jinwei saw that Zhan Xiaoyuan was dead and said to Sima Yue, "Okay." Sima Yue nodded. Thinking about how she had to use the teleportation array again, she felt pain in her heart. Now that the restless continent was so big, when she went up there, the distance would be even further. Wouldn't it be even more painful to use the teleportation array? No, I have to quickly improve my ability to set up my own array. It won't be so painful to use my own array. When I go up there, I won't have to use the Spirit Master Guild's array every time. She secretly made up her mind. The Sima family followed the Yun family to the Yun family. Just like the Gua family, they were treated with great respect. Sima Yue went to rest for 2 days. In these 2 days, no one from the Yun family came to disturb her. After Sima Yue felt comfortable, she went to the Spirit Pagoda to study arrays. Teleportation array. I must study this teleportation array properly. Sima Yue muttered as she studied the books on arrays. When she was in the Little Realm, although her teleportation array could only send her a few miles away, she could feel that her teleportation array was much more stable than the one from the Spirit Master Guild. She did not feel that dizziness. So if she studied it properly, she would be able to get rid of the pain of dizziness from the teleportation array. There were directional teleportation arrays and random teleportation arrays. She had to master both of them so that it would be easier for her to travel. Little Spirit, why do I feel that this place is different from before? Sima Yue suddenly raised her head and asked. You just realized that it's different. When you advanced to Spirit Paragon, I also advanced. Little Spirit appeared in the air, hugging a bottle of pills as snacks. What's the difference? The time is longer than before. In the past, 1 day outside was 3 days inside. Now, 1 day outside is 10 days inside. The spiritual energy is also denser than before. Little Spirit replied. Then has the second level been opened? No, according to your current strength, you should be able to open it when you reach the divine rank. I have to reach the divine rank. Sima Yue was a little depressed. It's so troublesome to open every level. How strong do I have to be to open the entire Spirit Pagoda? Don't be discouraged. You can't open it now because your spirit rank is too low. The increase in strength of a spirit rank is not comparable to the increase in strength of a divine rank. Little Spirit said. Really? Sima Yue's eyes lit up. Then wouldn't it be easy to open the Spirit Pagoda in the future? Don't be happy too early. The more you advance, the more strength you need. It's not that easy to open the Spirit Pagoda. Little Spirit poured cold water on her. However, this did not extinguish Sima Yue's happiness. It was fine as long as it was better than expected. Moreover, 1 day outside was equivalent to 10 days inside. She had more time to study arrays and pills. Moreover, hearing Little Spirit's words, when her strength increased in the future, it might even continue to evolve. At that time, it would definitely be better than now. Just thinking about it made her happy. Someone's coming. Little Spirit warned before disappearing from sight. Sima Yue walked out of the Spirit Pagoda and coincidentally heard a knock on the door. Come in. Bei Gongtang brought Yun Feng in. Seeing Sima Yue, Yun Feng cupped his hands and bowed, saying, Uncle Gua and Pei Pei are here. My father invited you to the front for a chat. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Were they going to discuss how to destroy the Zhan clan? Chapter 383. Sima Yue followed Yun Feng to the living room of the main courtyard. When they arrived, Gua Siming and Gua Pei Pei were indeed there. There were also a few people she didn't know. Yun Jinwei sat in the main seat, and the Gua and Yun family members sat on either side. When she arrived, she was actually invited to the seat next to the main seat. Everyone in the room stood up to welcome her. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. She was not used to such a situation. However, when he thought about his identity as a junior valley master, it was indeed quite impressive. Was this the so-called leaning against a big tree to enjoy the shade? She sat down in her seat and said, Everyone, take a seat. You're all Yue's elders. You don't have to be so formal. Thank you, Junior Valley Master. Everyone thanked him and sat down. Junior Valley Master, we are planning to discuss how to deal with the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion. We would like to invite the Junior Valley Master to join us. Yun Jinwei said. As expected. Sima Yue said in her heart. Then she smiled and said, I don't know much about the Zhan clan and the Sage Pavilion's power. You guys can discuss it. I will listen from the side. All right. The Gua family and the Yun family also hoped that Sima Yue would interfere too much. She did not understand the situation of these forces. If her suggestions did not match the actual situation, it might bring trouble to them. The only reason they had invited her was to let her know about their plans. In order to make it easier for her to understand, Yun Jinwei first explained the general situation of the Zhan family, roughly how many people there were, how many businesses they had, etc. Sima Yue suddenly had an idea. It would be nice to bring the Sima family over to this continent. Previously, she had thought of bringing them to live in the primordial lands when she went there. However, after learning about the primordial lands, she felt that it was not a good thing to go there without strength. However, the current situation in the Yilin continent made her worried that there might be chaos at any time. If she continued to let them stay there, she would regret it to death if something happened one day. All things considered, moving here was the best choice. She could let the Gua family and Yun family help her. The Sima family could also increase their strength. The cultivation environment here was many times better than the Yilin continent. With this idea, she began to plan for the Sima family. Firstly, she needed a source of income. Secondly, she had to find a way to bring them over. Patriarch, how should we split the profits after the Zhans? Yue asked. What suggestions does the Junior Valley Master have? Yun's asked. Sima, Yue's father, and Yun Yue said, Tisus S and to Yue Yun was Yue. Yun Jinwei and Gua Siming were both surprised. She wasn't interested in these things earlier, so why did she suddenly make such a request? Why is Young Valley Master interested in this? An elder of the Yun family asked. Yue, S Yue here. S of the clan's continents. 2. S Sima Yue didn't intend to say it now, but if she really wanted to move the Sima family, she would need the help of the other two families. Why not tell them now? The Junior Valley Master wants to move the whole family here? Gua Siming asked. Sima Yue nodded. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know that the Yilin continent isn't suitable for living, I definitely want my grandfather and the rest to have a better life. Since that's the case, then my Gua family will give up our profits and share it with the Junior Valley Master. Gua Siming said. My Yun family is willing to give it up too. Yun Jinwei followed. Although the Zhan family had many businesses, but compared to being on good terms with Sima Yue, the latter was much more attractive. The Gua and Yun families had people in the Divine Devil Valley, so they had to be on good terms with Sima Yue. Sima Yue tapped her fingers on the table and said, No need, our family isn't that big. Even if we get so many businesses, we won't be able to digest them all. I'll take some of them, and the rest will belong to you. Also, I'll give you enough compensation. Actually, the Yun and Gua families didn't intend to ask Sima Yue what compensation she was talking about, because they knew that she came from the Yilin continent, and that continent was lacking in resources, so they didn't think that she had anything good. After all, the Zhan family's wealth was too rich, and the portion that they gave her wasn't something that could be compensated with ordinary things. But when Sima Yue took out the item and heard the name, the Yun and Gua families felt their breaths stagnate, as if they had forgotten about their surroundings, and only saw the item in her hand. Junior Valley Master, is this really the divinity pill? The Yun family's elder swallowed his saliva and stared straight at the pill bottle. That's right. Sima Yue poured out 2 pills, one for Yun Jinwei and the other for Gua Siming. I refined this 2 days ago, and it has already promoted the divine beast to a sacred beast, so you don't have to worry about the effect. Isn't it said that the divinity pill is very difficult to refine? Gua Pei asked. Even a 7th or 8th ranked alchemist might not be able to refine it, and the ingredients used are extremely harsh, so this divinity pill is simply priceless. Sima Yue smiled, saying, You should have people who have reached the peak of Spirit Paragon, but haven't advanced, right? This can help them advance to the divine rank. Is this divinity pill really ours? One of the elders carefully held the pill in his hands. Of course. Sima Yue took out 2 other jade bottles, saying, There are 9 pills in each bottle, so adding the ones in your hands, there are 10 pills. This should be enough to cover the Zhan family's things, right? It's worth it, it's worth it. The value of this is much higher than those things. Gua Siming said. This was 10 divinity pills. Not to mention 10, even if there were 2 pills, one pill would be enough. This was because having one more divine rank cultivator would have a huge impact on a family, and it wasn't something that could be measured with wealth. If there were 10 more divine rank cultivators, the two families would be able to reach a higher level. Hence, this compensation was worth it. Sima Yue looked at their excited expressions, saying, "I'll give each family 5 of these divinity pills first. If you can find a way for me to return and bring my family over, I'll give you the remaining 5 pills. If I fail, then the Zhan family's business will be of no use to me, and I'll just give up my share. How about this? Junior Valley Master, don't worry, we'll definitely find a way for you to return," Yunjin Wei said confidently. Compared to the Zhan family's business, they wanted the divinity pills more, so they would definitely think of a way to help Sima Yue return. Seeing them like this, Sima Yue smiled. Previously, when they helped her, it could be said that they were standing on her side, but now, they were doing it for her, so naturally, they would do their best. Alright, let's discuss the specific plan to destroy the Zhan family. Chapter 384. For the rest of the discussion, Sima Yue basically didn't say anything. She just listened quietly and didn't participate in the suppression of the shops. She would only lead people to participate in the final battle. Longting they discussed for a whole day, and only in the evening did they finalize the final plan. When it was over, she gave the divinity elixirs to the 2 family heads. Then, she returned to the courtyard and told the Sima family about her plan. She also told them that she wanted to move the Sima family over. When they heard Sima Yu's thoughts, the Sima clansmen were all in agreement. Ever since they came into contact with the outside world, their horizons had been broadened, and they felt that the Yi-Lin continent was not a suitable place to live. If they could bring the Sima family out, that would be the best thing to do. There was no need for Sima Yue and the rest to do anything in the early stages. Hence, they went to a nearby mountain range to cultivate. Before they left, she gave Yunjin Wei a mother-son stone so that it would be easier for them to find her. At the same time, she was also telling him not to look for her if there was nothing important. Yunjin Wei had lived for more than 100 years, so he naturally understood what Sima Yue meant. She meant that if there was anything, he would use this to contact her. Sima Yue brought the Sima family members to the mountain and asked Chongming to set up a barrier. Then, she brought them into the Spirit Pagoda. Now that 1 day in the Spirit Pagoda was equivalent to 10 days, it would be intolerable if he didn't make use of it when he had nothing better to do. Time passed day by day. Half a year had passed in the outside world. They had lived inside for nearly 5 years. In these 5 years, each of them had made great progress. This kind of progress was absolutely shocking. The Yun family wasn't very far away, so they could feel the movements here from time to time. Sometimes, they could feel the light of several advancements rushing into the sky. Later on, when the Yun family members saw the light of advancement again, they were already numb. Even if each of these freaks spent a day, they wouldn't be able to advance that much, right? One day, Sima Yue was setting up an array in the valley. Suddenly, she felt some movement from the mother-son stone. She took it out and heard Yunjin Wei's voice. "Junior Valley Master, someone is looking for you." Yunjin Wei's voice could be heard. "Looking for me?" Sima Yue was stunned and asked, "Who is looking for me?" "They are from the Divine Devil Valley." Before Yuni could finish, Old Man Devil's voice rang out, "Brat, get back here." "Master? Why you here?" Sima Yue asked excitedly. She did not expect to hear Old Man Devil's voice. "Come back first." Old Man Devil snapped the mother-son stone and said to the man beside him, "Didn't you want to? Go. Don't regret it." The man's voice was low. When he raised his head, it was an extremely young face. He looked at Old Man Devil with an indifferent gaze, and his entire being emitted a cold aura. "Teach, what do I have to regret?" Old Man Devil said, "I will suppress my strength." The man flew out after he finished speaking. Yuni watched and said anxiously, "Second Valley Lord, the Junior Valley Master has just become a spirit paragon. If he goes to test his strength now, will there be any problems?" "No problem, that guy knows his limits." Old Man Devil sat on the chair and crossed his legs. "Are we really not going to take a look?" Yuni was still worried. If you are worried, then go take a look. Tell them to come back early after they are done. Old Man Devil said. Yuni hesitated for a moment and bowed to Old Man Devil, saying, Your disciple will take her leave. She then ran towards the mountain range where Sima Yue and the rest were. Don't look down on my disciple. Old Man Devil snorted twice, showing his trust in Sima Yue. Sima Yue had just come out of the mountain range when she saw a person standing in the air. His hands were behind his back and his long hair fluttered in the wind as he looked straight at them. Yue, I feel like that person is here to pick a fight. Bei Gongtang said. I can see that. Sima Yue and the rest stopped and faced that person. You are Sima Yue? That man looked at Sima Yue and sized her up with his cold eyes. Why are you blocking my way? Sima Yue looked at that person and tried to filter the information in her head, but she couldn't remember who this person was. Fight with me. If you win, you can go. That man immediately attacked Sima Yue after he finished speaking. You guys back off. Sima Yue shouted and went up against that man. Peng! The two people's attacks met in the air and exploded. The others saw this and ran far away. 6th level Spirit Paragon? The man raised his eyebrows and looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. He formed a seal with his hands and said, Black ice art. Small icicles slowly formed around his hands. With a thought, those icicles all flew towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue didn't expect him to use his spirit techniques so quickly. She quickly formed a wall of fire to block the icicles and formed a seal with her hands. Most walls of fire did not have a strong defense, but Sima Yue's wall of fire was able to block all the attacks in front of it. When the spirit power of her wall of fire was depleted, those icicles also disappeared. But before she could relax, an even sharper icicle came flying towards her. She could even feel the coldness of the icicles. Luckily, she had finished preparing her spirit technique. She waved her long flaming sword and split the icicles apart. Raging fire slash. After she dodged the icicles, she raised her sword and slashed at that man. Ice shield. A huge ice shield quickly condensed, blocking her flaming saber. Sima Yue felt the coldness of the ice shield and was surprised. This ice shield was so strong that it could block her flaming sword. The flaming sword and the ice shield were in a stalemate. Suddenly, the man disappeared from his original position and the ice shield disappeared with him. Sima Yue was shocked. Where did he go? She closed her eyes and sensed her surroundings. Suddenly, she felt a slight fluctuation in the space behind her. At the same time, she felt a sense of danger. It's here. She moved her body and attacked that space with a wave of spirit energy. Peng! A wave of spirit energy appeared out of nowhere and the two collided in the air. Although it wasn't very intense, the man's figure was revealed. After the man appeared, he didn't attack again. He looked at Sima Yue and said, You really have some skills. At this moment, Yuni flew over. Seeing that the two of them were not injured, she sighed in relief and asked, Are you guys done fighting? You know him? Sima Yue looked at Yuni and said, If you know him, I won't kill him. I'll just hit his butt until it blossoms. I don't intend to let people who find trouble with me go. With that, she prepared to attack again. When Yuni heard Sima Yue's vulgar words, she was speechless. However, she still said, The Junior Valley Master only wanted to test your strength. He didn't really want to find trouble with you. Sima Yue paused. She looked at that man and then at Yuni and said, Junior Valley Master? Chapter 385. Was this guy a Junior Valley Master? Yingbai Chuan? Sima Yue asked in disbelief. Yun-Yi, is this guy really Yingbai Chuan? Yun-Yi nodded. You should call me Senior. Yingbai Chuan said coldly. Maybe it was because he cultivated the ice attribute, but Yingbai Chuan looked cold and arrogant. Don't tell me you're here to test my strength? Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him. As the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley, other than having a skill, your cultivation and fighting strength must not be weak. Yingbai Chuan said, Martial Uncle praised you as the best in the world, so I'm here to test you on behalf of my master. Who is your master? The Great Valley Lord? Sima Yue was speechless. Ing Baichuan said, I suppressed my strength to that of a spirit paragon. Your performance is not bad. In fact, it was not just not bad, it was beyond his expectations. Although the two of them did not exchange many blows, but her reaction, the speed of her spirit skills and the richness of the spirit energy in her body greatly surprised him. If she did not meet him, she could be said to be invincible in the same rank. Thinking about how she found him when he was hiding, he said, You're an array master? Sima Yue was unhappy that Ing Baichuan was testing her strength. She did not answer his question, turned around and waved to the Sima family, asking them to come over. Ing Baichuan saw that Sima Yue was ignoring him, his eyebrows raised, but he did not say anything. Sima Yue and the others were a few hundred meters away when Sima Yue started fighting. To prevent the battle from affecting them, when they saw Sima Yue waving to them, they flew over. Fifth bro, are you okay? Sima Yue and the others looked at Ing Baichuan nervously, not knowing why the two of them stopped fighting. However, this was also a good thing. They could feel his powerful strength. If they continued to fight, Sima Yue might not necessarily win. He is the other junior valley master of Divine Devil Valley. Sima Yue said, Master is still waiting for us, let's go back. Everyone was dumbfounded. He was actually here to test her. When they returned, Yuni brought Sima Yue to the main hall where Old Man Devil and Yun Jinwei were waiting for them. The moment Sima Yue entered, she saw Old Man Devil sitting on the main seat with his legs crossed as he munched on a spirit fruit. Yun Jinwei was standing by the side, bent over and saying something. Master, why are you here? She walked over and found a place to sit down. Old Man Devil giggled as he looked at Ing Baichuan, who had followed behind him. How was it? Not bad, right? Martial uncle has taken in a good disciple. Ing Baichuan said honestly. I already told you. If the two of you were at the same level, you might not be able to beat her. Old Man Devil said. Ing Baichuan was silent as he seriously pondered over Old Man Devil's words. If they were at the same level, between him and her, who would win? He could feel that when she fought with him, she didn't struggle at all. Furthermore, his intuition told him that she still had a trump card that she hadn't used yet. However, he was looking forward to sparring with her again. You didn't tell Master that she's also an array master. He said. Array master? Old Man Devil was stunned. You know how to use arrays? I do. Sima Yue admitted. This Ing Baichuan was really sharp. It was just a simple sparring session, but he was able to guess her identity as an array master. Why didn't you tell me? Old Man Devil looked at her pitifully. He actually didn't know about his own disciple's skills. You didn't ask me. Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders. What else do you know? Old Man Devil asked. Beast taming. She replied, then glanced at him and said, Don't you already know this? Old Man Devil's mouth twitched. He had seen her taming Chongming, so he naturally knew that she knew how to tame beasts. What he was asking was if there was anything else she didn't know. Anything else? Nothing else. Just these three. When I have time in the future, I plan to learn how to refine weapons. She said. However, this was just her idea for now. As for whether or not she would put it into practice, that would depend on her. Chapter 386. After Sima Yue and the rest came out of the spatial tunnel, they went straight to Anyang City. It seemed like Old Man Devil was quite familiar with this place. You guys go back. Baichuan and I will go back up. Yuni, you stay here. Old Man Devil said. Master, aren't you coming with us? Sima Yue asked. We can't interfere with your matters here. Whether or not you can survive this calamity is up to you. Old Man Devil said. Why? Sima Yue was confused. This is a convention from above. Old Man Devil said, if we casually meddle in the affairs of the lower realms, we will be attacked by other powers. There's such a convention? Of course, if we meddle in the affairs below, wouldn't the whole world be in chaos? The weak are protected by the heavenly Tao. Old Man Devil blew his beard. Then what about the Sage Pavilion expanding its influence everywhere? Although the Sage Pavilion is expanding its influence everywhere, the upper echelons are still unable to control the lower echelons. In other words, if something were to happen to the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not be able to send people down to take care of it. It's just that if they develop the offline, they will be able to obtain even more faith, and the people from the Sage Pavilion from the other continents will be able to directly enter the Sage Pavilion. That is to say, if we destroy the Sage Pavilion in the Restless Continent, the higher-ups would not dare to send people to destroy the Yun and Gua families? Sima Yue understood. That's right. Old Man Devil said, every continent has its own destiny, and the Yi Lin continent's destiny is the worst. That's why it has become like this after millions of years. This time, only you can resolve this matter by yourselves, but I believe that with you around, it won't be a problem. In a few months, I'll come and take a look. If you're still alive, I'll take you away. We're leaving. After Old Man Devil finished speaking, he opened another tunnel and brought Ing Baichuan in. Sima Yue waved her hand and shouted before the tunnel closed, "Master, remember to pick us up early." Old Man Devil didn't answer her, and the passageway closed. She didn't know if he heard her. "Junior Valley Master, I can't help you if your life isn't in danger." Uni made her stance clear. Sima Yue nodded. "Let's go back to the family first. I hope the family is fine." Sima Yuqing said worriedly. When they returned to the Sima residence, the guards at the gate were rather surprised to see them. These young masters and young mistresses had already left the clan for more than a year. They did not expect that they would return at this time. "Young master, young Mississippi," Sima Yulin nodded lightly at them, asking, "Where's my grandfather?" "The patriarch is not in the mansion right now, so the young patriarch is temporarily in charge of the family's affairs," the guard said. The young patriarch was Sima Yulin's father. The next patriarch was decided after Sima Tai woke up. Sima Yulin and the others went in to look for their father. Sima Jingren was very happy when he found out that Sima Yulin and the others had returned. Seeing that their power had already surpassed his, he was rather surprised. He sighed and thanked Sima Yuyu for bringing them out. "Father, what happened? Why isn't grandfather and the others here?" Sima Yulin asked. Sima Jingren sighed, saying, "We've always been paying attention to the situation in the ocean. A month ago, the ocean beasts in the ocean suddenly went crazy and attacked the humans. It's a good thing that we sent people to keep an eye on the situation over there, so we were able to defend in time." "Then what's the situation over there?" "The people from the various powers have all rushed over. Nobody can escape from this kind of situation." Sima Jingren said, "But even so, we're still the weaker side. It feels like all the spirit beasts in the ocean have come." "Grandfather and the others have all gone?" Sima Yulin asked. "Those who are spirit overlords and above have all gone. I've just finished arranging things and am preparing to bring the remaining people over." Sima Jingren said. "Let's go together," Sima Yang said. Sima Jingren was just about to say that they were too weak and should just stay at home when he suddenly remembered that they were already stronger than him. He nodded, saying, "Then let's go." As such, Sima Yuyu and the others set off again after returning home for less than an hour. This time, they directly flew to a small city near the ocean. Sima Tai, Sima Lin and a group of elders stood on the city wall and observed the situation in the ocean, discussing the current situation. "More and more sea beasts are gathering here," Sima Lin said worriedly. "What do the other clans say?" Sima Tai asked. "Every clan says that they're in the same situation, especially the Nalan clan. They say that they can't hold on for much longer," eldest elder said. "There have already been a few big battles and many sea beasts have died. However, they haven't retreated. Instead, there are more and more of them. This is not a good sign," Sima Tai said. "The most shocking thing is that those sea beasts are actually able to leave the ocean and come to land. This is too strange," Sima Lai said. "Have you guys noticed that those sea beasts have a black mist around them? It's this mist that allows them to fly," Sima Jun said. "We have to find the reason why the sea beasts are rioting." It was rare for the Sima family's ancestor to open his mouth, but he hit the nail on the head. The ocean had been peaceful for so many years. The situation that had happened recently was definitely not a coincidence. If they wanted the sea beasts to retreat, they had to find the reason for the rioting. We've already sent people to investigate, but not a single one of them has returned. It's not just us. The other clans have also sent people to investigate, but it's the same situation. Simatai said as he furrowed his eyebrows. Yesterday, we sent 2 people to form a small team with the other clans to investigate. If they still can't find anything, then we can only do it ourselves. If only that child Yue was here. She has a sacred beast. She will definitely be able to find the reason. Sima Lin said. But they're still in another continent. There's no point in thinking about them. Sima Tai sighed. Oh, are you thinking about us? Sima Yue's voice sounded, causing the group to think that they were hallucinating. Sima Yue and the rest came over from the city walls. When they saw Sima Tai and the rest, they smiled and bowed to the elders. Weren't you guys in another continent? When did you come back? Sima Lin asked in surprise. Sima Yue smiled and said, Master sent us back. We went back to the clan and found out that you were all here, so we rushed over. Yulin, did you see your father? Sima Tai asked. Father came with us, but he went to arrange for the people we brought over. Sima Yulin said. Your strength? Sima Lin felt that their auras were very similar to his, and looked at them in disbelief. Especially Sima Yue. Her aura was so strong that even they could not feel it. Didn't this mean that her rank was higher than theirs? Chapter 387. Hearing Sima Lin's words, everyone finally noticed their auras. They had all advanced to the level of spirit supremacy. Everyone was shocked. They had only been gone for a little over a year, but they had actually advanced from Spirit Grandmaster and Spirit Emperor to Spirit Supremacy. What did they encounter after they went out? Was it really that easy to cultivate in the outside world? I got a lot of opportunities, that's why I rose so quickly. Sima Yulin said. Grandfather. Sima Yuming and the others smiled as they walked to Sima Lai's side. When Sima Lai saw that his own grandson's rank was higher than his own, his heart was filled with emotion and pride. In the past few years, his strength had increased rapidly with the help of Sima Yue, but he still hadn't broken through to become a spiritual venerable. Master, I heard you guys talking about me just now. Sima Yue did not forget what they said about how good it would be if she was around. Sima Tai said, Look at the sea. They were now in a city on a cliff by the sea. One of the city walls was on the cliff, and the waves from the sea would sometimes splash at the foot of the wall. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the surface of the sea and realized that it was filled with sea beasts. At a glance, the blue sea had turned black. Furthermore, it wasn't just limited to the city walls, but the entire coastline. Why is there such a venomous sea beast? Sima Yue and the rest were shocked. They did not expect the situation to be so serious. But sea beasts can only swim in the sea. As long as we don't go to the sea, won't we be fine? Fatty Chu asked. But the truth is not like that. Sima Lin said. Could it be that they can fly? Fatty Chu had originally wanted to tease them, but he did not expect the crowd to nod their heads in agreement. Damn, it can really fly? Yes. Sima Tai nodded. I don't know why, but those divine beasts all know how to fly. We've seen faint black lines on their bodies before, so we're guessing that this might be the reason. Then did you find out what that black line was? Sima Yuyang asked. We tried to investigate the cause of the sea beast's rampage, but we couldn't find anything. The people we sent out disappeared within 2 days. We guessed that they might have already met with misfortune. That's why we thought that if you were here, you might be able to find out the reason with a sacred beast. If we don't find the cause, I don't know how long this riot will last. Sima Yue frowned when she heard what they said. She instinctively felt that this matter had something to do with Forgotten Worry Island. At this moment, a guard rushed to the top of the city wall and looked around. When he saw Sima Tai and the others, he quickly ran over. Family head, the Sang clan has sent people to deal with us. Our plan has failed again. However, unlike the previous times, the sea beasts threw the corpses back. The guard cupped his fists and said, Damn it. The elders clenched their fists, enraged by this blatant provocation. That person also said that the other 3 great clans are planning to gather all the leaders of their respective powers for a meeting to discuss their next step. The guard continued, in addition, the Sang clan's patriarch asked him to deliver a letter. Give it to me. Simatai said. The guard took out a letter and handed it to Simatai. He opened it and quickly skimmed through it. Patriarch, what did the letter say? The great elder asked. He told me the time and place of the meeting. Simatai said, they even said that the Nalan clan was the first to bring up this matter. They guessed that the Nalan clan had suffered heavy losses and wanted to take action. The Nalan clan suffered heavy losses? Did a lot of people die? Sima Yue asked. Simatai smiled. That smile was indescribably treacherous. At that time, the 4 great clans led the other clans, while the Li clan was in charge of providing the pills. I told them the 4 locations and explained the situation at each of them. Then, I told them about the situation at one of the locations in a more relaxed manner. That old man from the Nalan clan immediately rushed over. In the end, he discovered that the situation there wasn't as relaxed as I said. In fact, the situation there was worsening, and it became the most serious area. They also suffered the most casualties. Then they didn't cause any trouble for you? Sima Yue didn't believe it. The Nalan clan didn't seem like they would be able to tolerate such a thing. They were clearly trying to scam them. What trouble could there be? When they went there, that place was indeed the most relaxed. The situation only worsened later on. We just didn't tell them about it. What could they say? Sly old fox. Sima Yue muttered. He must have discovered that the place looked the most relaxed now, but there were signs that it would get worse later on. However, he only told them about the current situation and didn't mention the signs. Therefore, the Nalan clan immediately chose that area. They thought that they had picked up a bargain, but they didn't expect to pick up a hot potato. Actually, the Nalan clan did contact the Sima family later on. However, the Sima family members said that they didn't know about it at that time. Moreover, the situation at that place was the worst. They were the ones who fought to go there. It had nothing to do with the Sima family. The Nalan clan was speechless. They knew that the Sima family had scammed them, but they couldn't do anything about it. They could only continue to stay there. Now that the situation was getting worse, they didn't want to maintain the status quo. Therefore, they proposed this meeting. Sima Yue guessed that they might even propose to choose a leader. Where will this meeting be held? The old ancestor of the Sima family asked. In Yi City, where the Nalan clan is stationed. The time is 5 days later. Simatai replied. Then who do you plan to bring? Eldest elder asked. Just you and Yulin. I'll just bring 2 more guards. Simatai said, the others will stay here and keep an eye on the situation. When he said that he would bring Sima Yue and Sima Yulin, the others didn't have any objections. Knowing that she had a sacred beast by her side, they didn't have to worry about the Nalan clan's tricks. However, there were 10 people who went on the journey because Bei Gong Tang and the others went with them. Wherever Sima Yue went, they would go. There was no teleportation array between Yi City and the small city they were in, so everyone could only sit on flying beasts. They flew along the sea for 4 days before reaching Yi City. The Nalan clan had already sent people to welcome them at the city gates. That was why the Nalan clan knew when they arrived. However, Sima Tai didn't go to meet the Nalan clan. Instead, he brought Sima Yue and the others to an inn to find a place to rest. He didn't give the Nalan clan any face. When the other powers saw this, they couldn't help but purse their lips. The Sima clan was really... However, everyone knew about the grudges between the 2 clans. They also felt that the Sima clan's actions were reasonable. Yi City was also a city near the sea. Sima Yue had nothing to do on the second day, so she went to the sea with Bei Gong Tang and the others to observe the situation. She realized that there were more sea beasts here compared to other places. The situation was much more dangerous. There's something wrong with these sea beasts. Bei Gong Tang said as she pointed at the sea. Chapter 388. Sima Yue and the rest also noticed the abnormality in the sea. They nodded and said, "There is indeed something wrong with these sea beasts." Their eyes looked dull. Could it be that they are also being controlled like the spirit beasts in 10,000 Beast Mountain? Fatty Chu guessed. It's possible. Wei Ziqi nodded. Could it be the creature from Forgotten Worry Island that Yue mentioned last time? Ouyang Fei frowned. If that's really the case, then it'll be troublesome. Bei Gongtang said. Yeah. Sima Yue sighed. If that was the case, it would be really troublesome. At that time, Chongming said that although that creature wasn't as strong as the one from 10,000 Beast Mountain, if it wasn't suppressed, he wouldn't have been able to fight against it. She recalled the time when she was in the sea, when she saw the black light devouring the creatures on the island. She still had some lingering fear. Sima Yulin naturally thought of that experience as well, and was equally worried. At this moment, a group of people flew over them. When they saw them on the shore, they stopped for a moment. One of them alighted while the other group continued flying towards Kargalik. Brother Yulin. After Sang Qiongli landed on the ground, he nodded at Sima Yu before looking at Sima Yu, saying, "I've been looking for you all this time. Later on, I heard that you left the Yilin continent." Sima Yue was stunned. Looking for her? You've become stronger. Sang Qiongli felt Sima Yue's aura and said, "You're much stronger than before. Have you already entered the Supreme Realm?" Sima Yue nodded. She remembered that this guy wanted to challenge her to a duel, but she didn't accept his challenge. It seemed that he came looking for him to compete with him. Sang Qiongli was shocked to see Sima Yue admit it, but he did not show it on his face. "Brother Qiongli has always been at the coast?" Sima Yulin asked. "Yes, it's been here since the start of the sea beast rampage," Sang Qiongli said. "Then did you discover anything?" Sima Yue asked. Sang Qiongli looked at the sea beasts and said, "They seem to be controlled by something. We also tried to find out the reason why they were being controlled, but the people we sent out didn't find anything. Instead, they never returned. This time, their corpses were directly thrown in front of us. Their deaths were too tragic." Sang Qiongli's voice was trembling. It seemed that he had been greatly provoked by this provocation. "What about the strength of the sea beasts? Are there any changes?" Sima Yue asked. She remembered that Jade had once said that when the beasts of 10,000 Beast Mountain attacked the city, their strength would be a bit stronger than usual. It could be said that the suppressed creatures had added their strength to the spirit beasts and divine beasts. "I heard from people who have dealt with sea beasts that there are no changes." Sang Qiongli understood what Sima Yue meant and replied. "That's better," Sima Yue said. "The most important thing right now is to find out the reason for controlling the sea beasts." Sima Yulin said, "I hope it's not that." Could it be that Brother Yulin knows something? Sang Qiongli asked. Sima Yulin glanced at Sima Yue. Seeing that she didn't object, he told her about what happened at Forgotten Worry Island. In any case, the Sima family would talk about this during this meeting. He was just saying it in advance. "However, I heard my grandfather say that he tried to send people to Forgotten Worry Island, but they never returned." He added, "Almost none of the people who entered the ocean came back alive." Sang Qiongli said, then looked at Sima Yue and said, "However, you have a sacred beast, so you might be able to." Previously, everyone had placed their hopes on Sima Yue. However, they found out that she had already left the continent for more than a year. They also found out that she had already entered the Divine Devil Valley. However, her identity as a junior valley master was not revealed. Furthermore, her departure from the continent was completed with the help of the Divine Devil Valley. Now that everyone knew that she had returned, they would definitely want to look for her to investigate this matter. Just as the few of them were chatting, the entire ocean started to boil. Those low-ranked sea beasts that had gathered before quickly dispersed. Following that, a group of divine beasts came from afar. When they were about to reach the shore, they suddenly flew into the sky. "Oh no, it's the killer whales!" Sang Qiongli looked at the killer whales and shouted. At this moment, a long horn sounded in Kargalik. Once the horn sounded, people appeared on the city walls one after another. Seeing the invading sea beasts, the faces of the people on the city walls changed. The killer whales were extremely ferocious. The strength of their tails was extremely strong. Those sharp teeth made people panic. How could it be the killer whales? Aren't these sea beasts rarely seen? Someone shouted. And there are so many of them. I'm afraid we don't have enough manpower. We must immediately send people from nearby. It's too late. There are too many killer whales this time. I'm afraid we won't be able to hold on for long. What do we do now? Could it be that we really can't escape this time? It can't be. There must be a way. What other way is there? There are so many divine beasts attacking, and many of them are 5th level and above. Those are divine beasts with the power of spirit paragons. But look at how many spirit paragons we have. Facing hundreds of divine beasts, these people panicked. Why are there a few youngsters standing over there? Someone noticed Sima Yue and the rest. The others looked over and indeed saw a few people standing in the distance, staring straight at the approaching group of killer whales. Their motionless looks were as if they were scared silly. It's them. Someone recognized Sima Yue and the rest and laughed loudly, saying, "Ha, I'm saved. I'm saved." Are you stupid? There are only a few of them. Why are you so excited? The person who recognized Sima Yue pointed at Sima Yue, as if he saw the hope of survival, saying, "That's Sima Yue from the Sima family. It's her." Yue generation? That's the youngest generation in the Sima family, right? Don't tell me you're counting on a little kid to save us? The person who spoke gave the person a look that said, "You're stupid. You're the stupid one." It's Sima Yue. She has a sacred beast by her side. With a sacred beast by her side, how could anything happen to us? That person said excitedly. I remember now. The Sima family does have a sacred beast. They said that they had already left this continent. I didn't expect her to be here. Then we're really saved. That's great. The people on the city wall were extremely excited. Their gazes towards the killer whales were no longer as fearful. Sima Yue stood by the shore and stared at the killer whales flying over, carefully observing something. Just as Sima Tai and the rest had said, these killer whales had faint black lines wrapped around them, as if they were being dragged out of the sea. But it couldn't be said that it was something that was controlling them. Then her gaze landed on the black clouds that were gradually floating over. She felt that the black clouds were a little strange. Chapter 389. That dark cloud gave her a strange feeling. On the sea, storms and hurricanes were possible, and this kind of dark cloud was very common. However, when she looked at the dark cloud, she felt that it was alive and had followed the sea beasts here. There's something strange about that cloud, she said. The others also looked at the cloud, but they didn't find anything different. He's here. They didn't have time to look at the dark clouds carefully. The killer whales were already close to them. They had to put down their thoughts and fight with the people from the city. Am I seeing things? Are they spiritual paragons? Damn, it's true. They are all spiritual venerables. How old are they? Oh my God, this is unbelievable. Everyone, pay attention to your battle. Be careful not to be eaten by the killer whale. Only when someone reminded them did they come back to their senses and continue to fight their opponents. However, their gazes would occasionally drift towards Sima Yue and the others. Although Sima Yue and the rest were all spiritual paragons, their opponents had many divine beasts of level 5 and above. They called out all of their contracted beasts. Uni didn't make a move from the beginning. Although she was standing there, no killer whale attacked her. It was as if she didn't exist at all. Although they were stronger, there were still people who died in the battle. Sima Yue unintentionally saw faint figures flying towards the dark clouds. What's that? She watched in surprise as the shadows flew into the dark clouds. She was so shocked that she even forgot about the killer whale in front of her. Fortunately, Little Rock and the others reacted and pulled her away. Yue, be careful. Bei Gong Tang, who was at the side, shouted towards Sima Yue after killing a killer whale. Sima Yue flew onto Little Rock's back and no longer faced the killer whale directly. Instead, she flew to the side and stared intently at the dark clouds. Although those killer whales didn't have their own consciousness, they knew how powerful Sima Yue was and didn't take the initiative to provoke her. Another spirit master was killed by the killer whale. She looked at the person and saw a faint figure floating out of the body and flying into the dark cloud. She could see the fear and constant struggle on the figure's face. It seemed that the figure was terrified of the dark clouds and wanted to escape but couldn't. Soon, the figure was sucked into the dark clouds. Sima Yue could even see his distorted face before he was sucked into the dark clouds. What was going on? She looked at the dark clouds with a solemn expression. Yue, what are you looking at? Bei Gongtang flew over. Her condition really made people feel uneasy. Did you see those shadows being sucked into the dark clouds? She looked at Bei Gongtang and asked. Shadow? What shadow? Bei Gong looked at Sima Yue, not knowing what she was talking about. You guys didn't see it? She was surprised. Was she the only one who saw it? Another person died, and the same scene repeated itself. Look, that shadow. She pulled on Bei Gongtang's arm and pointed at the shadow. Bei Gongtang followed her finger and looked, but still didn't see anything. Fatty Chu had just finished off his opponent and was caught by Sima Yue. She wanted him to see the shadow. I didn't see anything. Yue, what did you want me to see? The answer was the same as Bei Gongtang's, nothing. Sima Yue was sure that she was the only one who could see those shadows. Those powerful killer whales were killed by Sima Yue and her contracted beasts. In addition to the people gathered in the city, the battle ended very quickly. Fresh blood dyed the entire sea red. The low-leveled sea beasts that surrounded the area all gathered in the distance and didn't come near anymore. And that dark cloud slowly floated away, just like how it came. Other than the few of them, no one else paid attention to it. Sima Yue looked at the dark clouds with a grave expression. Yue, what did you see just now? Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yue. It didn't seem like she was trying to scare everyone. She seemed to have seen something that no one could see. Let's talk about it when we get back, Sima Yue said. She looked at Yuni and saw that Yuni was also looking at the dark clouds. Her eyes flashed. They returned to the inn in Yi City. Sang Qiongli also wanted to know what Sima Yue saw just now, so he followed along. Sima Tai didn't go to battle. He knew that with Sima Yue around, nothing would happen. But he still went out and saw that Sima Yue and the rest were acting strangely from afar. When Sima Yue and the rest returned, the first thing he said was, "Did you discover something?" Sima Yue didn't expect that Sima Tai would know that she saw something even though they weren't together. She nodded and said, "Indeed. When we were fighting just now, I realized that there was a faint shadow floating out from the bodies of those who died. Those shadows were sucked into the dark clouds." What? Everyone was shocked. Why didn't they see any shadows? You said that those shadows all entered the dark clouds? Sima Tai asked. Sima Yue said confidently, those shadows seemed to be very afraid of the dark clouds. They kept struggling but to no avail. In the end, they were all sucked into the dark clouds. What are those shadows? Are they the souls of those people? Fatty Chu guessed. That's possible. Then why did the dark clouds suck their souls in? Everyone couldn't understand and couldn't guess what was going on. Yuni, do you know something? Sima Yue thought of Yuni's expression and felt that he should know something. I'm not sure. I can only come to a conclusion after seeing it. Yuni said, but I'm more curious. Even I didn't see the shadow you mentioned. Why are you the only one who noticed it? Sima Yue was stunned. That's right, why was she the only one who saw those shadows? If even you can't see it, how can I see it? You're much stronger than me. Could it be that she was reborn and that was why she could see it? Maybe this matter has something to do with it. Sima Tai said, it would be great if we could investigate this. Clan head, let me investigate. Sima Yue said, if I'm the only one who can see it, I'm the most suitable person to investigate. Previously, she thought that this matter had something to do with the creature on Forgotten Worry Island. However, it seemed that it was because of the dark clouds. However, No one could say for sure whether the dark clouds had anything to do with that creature. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. A guard walked in and said, "Clan head, the Nalan clan has sent someone to invite you. They said that they're holding a meeting in advance." It seemed that today's matter had made the Nalan clan even more afraid and they wanted to change the situation. Sima Tai stood up and said, "Since they've invited us, let's go over. Yue Yulin, the two of you come with me." Chapter 390. Sima Yue and the rest followed the Nalan family to a mansion. This mansion was probably the biggest mansion in the entire Kargalik. It was now the headquarters of the Nalan family. Sima family head, the other family heads have already arrived. "Our family head is waiting for you inside," the guard who led the way said. Because Sima Tai walked very slowly and lived far away, by the time they arrived, the other forces had already arrived. It's getting harder and harder to meet the head of the Sima family. "Everyone is here, waiting for you." As soon as he entered the hall, a sarcastic voice sounded. Sima Yue looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old woman sitting in the middle. She was staring at them coldly. "Who is that?" she asked Sima Yulin softly. "It should be the ancestor of the Nalan clan." Sima Yulin guessed based on where she was sitting. This matter was a very serious test for the entire continent, so all the ancestors of the various clans came out of seclusion. Sima Tai didn't seem to mind the old woman's words, saying, "The inn we're staying at is far from here. My grandnephew just finished participating in the battle this afternoon, so I spent a bit of time comforting him. Sorry for being late." Although he said that, there was no apology in his words at all. Speaking of this battle, this is the first time such a ferocious sea beast like the killer whale has appeared, right? Someone brought the topic to the battle. Not only that, this time there are more mythological beasts than before. If it wasn't for the little friends of the Sima family and their friends and contracted beasts, I'm afraid the entire city would be in danger. Speaking of this, everyone remembered that this group of young people and their contracted beasts were all spiritual venerables. When they thought about how much effort they had put into the battle today, everyone didn't mind that they were late. The Nalan family head sat beside the old woman and said, "Everyone can see that today's situation is actually quite dangerous. Because of the lack of coordination, our strength here is relatively weak. Everyone was almost wiped out. The situation is indeed quite dangerous." Everyone agreed. The Nalan family's head saw everyone's reaction, and the corner of his mouth slightly raised into a smile as he said, "Situations like this also happen in other places from time to time." When the people nearby received the news and rushed over, the casualties were already very serious. The death of every human weakens our combat strength. This is a huge loss for us humans, but this loss can be avoided. "How can we avoid it?" someone asked. "If we can integrate all the fighting forces into one and make a unified arrangement, this kind of unequal distribution of forces will not occur," the Nalan family had said. "Patriarch Nalan, you mean to say that we should unite all the powers, form an alliance, and then choose a leader?" Patriarch was said. "That's exactly what I meant." Nalan family head nodded. "To form an alliance, my Hua clan wholeheartedly supports this suggestion." The Hua clan's patriarch said. "My Sang clan also agrees." The Sang clan head said. "We also agree." Family headly said. Everyone's attention was focused on Sima Tai. If the 5 great clans agreed to this matter, then the remaining forces naturally wouldn't have any objections. "Why are you all looking at me?" Sima Tai leaned back in his chair and said, "This is something beneficial to mankind. My Sima family naturally agrees." The Nalan family head saw that Sima Tai agreed so easily and was somewhat surprised. However, he didn't show it too much and said, "What about the others?" "We agree." "Agree." Everyone present agreed with this suggestion and no one objected. The Nalan family head waved his hand and everyone quieted down. He continued, "Since no one has any objections, then let's choose a leader. He will lead everyone to fight against the sea beasts." Good. Everyone nodded. "I wonder if there is anyone in mind for the position of leader?" The Nalen family head asked. Naturally, only the strongest person can take on this heavy responsibility. Someone said. Naturally, the Nalen family's ancestor is the most suitable. Right, our Nalen family's ancestor is the strongest here. Naturally, she should be the leader. The others agreed. That's right. The Nalen family people all laughed. They expected that the ancestors of the great clans wouldn't personally attend this meeting. That's why they let their own ancestors attend. With these people's words, the position of leader naturally belonged to their Nalen family. Once they became the leader, they would definitely send the Sima family to the front and let them have a taste of being the vanguard. The old woman laughed and said, "This old woman is just a bag of old bones. How can I take on this heavy responsibility?" Nalen family head, you don't need to be humble. Other than you, who else can take the position of leader? That's right. This position belongs to none other than you, Nalen family head. Nalen family head saw that everyone was saying this and said awkwardly, "Since everyone is saying this, then this old woman will respectfully. If we're talking about the strongest, then it should be the Sima family's Sima Yue, right?" Nalen family head's words were interrupted and the last sentence was stuck in her throat. "Who's Sima Yue?" someone asked. The smile on Nalen family head's face froze as she looked at the person who spoke. It was Sang Cheong-li, Sima Yue, the Yue generation. You're the youngest generation of the Sima family, right? She looked at the Nalen family head and asked. Yes, old ancestor. The Nalen family head replied. How many years has a young person cultivated? How can such a person be the strongest? You little brat, don't spout nonsense. Just stand behind your parents and listen. Someone was unhappy. Sima Yue did not expect Sang Cheong-li to mention her name. She raised her head and looked at Sang Cheong-li. Not only her, but everyone else also looked at him. Sang Cheong-li did not get angry and explained, "You only said that she is the strongest. You didn't say whether it was her own cultivation or external help. This Sima Yue's strength is something that many of you cannot compare to. Just based on the fact that she has contracted a sacred beast, she is better than everyone here." Sacred beast. That's right, I've heard that a sacred beast appeared in our continent and was contracted by someone. I didn't expect it to be contracted by a young person from the Sima family. The Yi-Lin continent was so big, and not everyone knew Sima Yue. Now that they heard that she was the one who had contracted the sacred beast, they all had different thoughts. If they were to calculate it that way, she was indeed the strongest person here. Her sacred beast was enough to kill everyone present. The Nalen family did not expect that someone would come out of nowhere. Just as they were about to get the position of the alliance head, something like this happened. This Sima Yue is still young. If she is to take the position of the alliance head, I'm afraid that she is not experienced enough, the Nalen family head said with a black face. Chapter 391. Sima Yue wasn't interested in the position of the chief, but she couldn't let the Nalen family become the chief. Otherwise, the Sima family would be in danger. Therefore, when she heard the Nalen family head's question, she casually replied, "It doesn't matter whether I have experience or not, as long as my family has prestige in Chongming." After saying that, she even called out Chongming. The moment Chongming appeared, the aura of this sacred beast enveloped the entire hall. Seeing Chongming, the faces of the Nalen clan members turned even darker. His appearance indicated that their chances of seizing the position of alliance head were slim. Sima Yue looked at the Nalen clansmen and gave them a big smile, saying, "Also, if I become the alliance leader, I will naturally listen to everyone's opinions and will not act arbitrarily." After saying that, she glanced at the patriarch of the Li family. The head of the Li family stiffened and said, "We support little friend Yue. We also support our young friend Yue." The Sang clan leader said. The Hua family also expressed their support for Sima Yue. "We also support Yue." The South Eclipse Emperor, who had been very quiet all this time, said. "We are the same." The West Moon Imperial family said. The people who said that they supported old ancestor Nalen were originally people arranged by the Nalen family themselves. They were all forces that were usually on good terms with them. Those important forces didn't say anything at all. Now that they had unanimously expressed their willingness to support Sima Yue, the Nayland family's faces were even darker than the bottom of a pot. This was a blatant slap to their family's face. Seeing that their bosses had expressed their support, the people who were usually on good terms with the big families all expressed their willingness to support Sima Yue. Sima Yue looked at the Nayland family head's face and smiled even more brilliantly, saying, "There should be more than half of them, right? Since that's the case, I'll accept your offer and become the leader of this alliance." "Greetings, Alliance Master." Some people bowed to her, and even the Hua and Sang family heads nodded to her, officially acknowledging her current status. No matter how much the Nayland family objected, they couldn't go against the wishes of so many people and could only acknowledge her status. "I heard that the Alliance Master left the Yi-Lin continent and just came back a few days ago. I'm sure you don't understand the current situation. How do you plan to arrange the people from the various powers?" the Nayland family head asked. I was just about to talk about this matter when Nayland family head asked. It seems that he is more concerned about this issue. Sima Yu smiled, saying, "It's just as the Nayland clan leader said just now. As the alliance leader, I only have Halcyon's prestige, but I don't have your 100 years of experience. That's why I plan to choose a vice alliance leader and let him arrange the manpower. When I'm not around, our alliance will be under his control." Hearing Yue's, Sima Yue had a bad premonition. As Yang confirmed, was right. My family head's strength and ability is clear for all to see, so I think there shouldn't be any problems with him being the vice leader, right? Sima Yue said. Everyone wanted to say that there was a problem. If the leader and vice leaders' positions were to be taken by the Sima family, wouldn't that be monopolizing everything? But when they saw Halcyon by her side, they swallowed their words of objection, and swallowed it down their throats to express that they had no objections. Since that's the case, then it's decided. Chongming is in charge of overseeing the alliance. If there's anyone who's not willing to follow orders, then it's a challenge to his authority. Sima Yue said, and the vice leader's in charge of everything. When I'm not around, he'll have my authority. I hope everyone can cooperate well. Yes, of course. Sima Yue looked around and said, I'll say the ugly words first. If there's anyone who's dissatisfied and wants to go against the vice's leader's orders, resulting in heavy losses, don't come looking for me. Chongming and I aren't people with good tempers. If there's any accident, don't blame me for not warning you. Everyone was speechless. This threat was so obvious. Alliance leader, can't you be more tactful? We understand the alliance leader's meaning. Nayland family head said unhappily, but since everyone is here to discuss how to deal with these sea beasts, what plans does the alliance leader have? Nayland family head, the alliance leader said just now that the vice's leader will be in charge of all the arrangements. Are you asking the alliance leader this now to make things difficult for him, or did you not listen to the alliance leader? Hua family head said, How can I not listen to the alliance leader? I just feel that it's better for the alliance leader to understand the situation. Sitting in this position without knowing anything about the situation, it's hard for the other spirit masters to be convinced. Nayland family head quibbled. Sima Yue smiled and said, Nayland family head is right. However, it's not like I don't know anything. Then how much does the alliance leader know? It's a coincidence that I was the first to notice the abnormality in the ocean. Sima Yue said, 3 years ago, my grandfather and I just returned to the family. There was one time when we went to Forgotten Worry Island to look for a few medicinal ingredients. We just happened to encounter the incident that happened on Forgotten Worry Island. She explained the situation in detail, making everyone present feel the terrifying power of the black light. It's because of this incident that the Sima family realized that the ocean was not peaceful these past few years. I think my family head has the right to speak on this matter. Sima Yue continued. That's right. Sima Tai continued her words and said, We didn't mention this incident back then because it was too terrifying. We didn't dare to mention it so as to avoid scaring everyone. Then why did you say it now? Someone questioned. Because the Alliance leader is back. Sima Tai glanced at that person and said, if the Alliance leader didn't come back, we wouldn't have a sacred beast. Who would dare to touch this matter? Thinking about it, they couldn't even walk 10,000 nautical miles out of the ocean, much less enter Forgotten Worry Island. However, we still need to verify whether this is the reason for the chaos of the ocean beasts this time. Sima Yue said, the ocean has always been peaceful. There must be a reason for this to happen. Only when we find the reason can we completely solve this problem. I've decided to bring Chongming to the ocean to investigate. You guys have to hold the fort at the seaside. I don't want to wait for my return to find that you guys have already lost your fort. Alliance leader, don't worry. We will do our best to protect the continent. Someone said. Alliance leader, this trip is dangerous. Who are you bringing? Sang Qiongli asked. The road ahead is dangerous, so I want to bring as few people as possible. Sima Yue seemed to think for a while before replying. Originally, I wanted to go alone. Ordinary people would only be a burden. However, now that I've seen Elder Naylan, I would like to invite Elder Naylan to go with me. I wonder if Elder Naylan would be willing to help find out the cause of this incident? Chapter 392. Elder Naylan did not expect Sima Yue to speak in front of everyone. How could she say no under such circumstances? Of course not. Otherwise, the Naylan clan would become the laughingstock of the entire continent. Since the Alliance head says so, this old one will follow the Alliance head on this trip. Laozu. Naylan Jie looked at Sima Yue angrily. She must not have asked the Laozu to come with good intentions, but the Laozu actually agreed. Alliance Master, I'm willing to go with the Elder Ancestor. He volunteered. You. Sima Yue glanced at him and said, forget it. You're too weak. You'll only drag us down if you go. Naylan Jie almost couldn't breathe, but he couldn't refute. Everyone had been on the same starting line for more than a year, but in the blink of an eye, she had left them so far behind and was already looking at them from a higher position. I'll go with you. Sima Yulin said. All right. Sima Yue nodded and said to the people present, it's an emergency. I'll go with them to check the situation. I'll leave the matters here to you. Alliance head, don't worry. We will discuss this properly. Sima Tai said. Sima Yue understood what Sima Tai meant. It seemed like the Naylan clan had no chance of leaving this place. Ancestor Naylan, time is of the essence. Let's go. She urged. Elder Ancestor Naylan stood up reluctantly. She originally wanted to find an excuse for Sima Yue to not go, but she didn't expect that Sima Yue would leave now. How could she say it? How could Sima Yue not know what old Ancestor Naylan was planning? That was why she asked to set off now. She took out the Mother-Son Stone and contacted Wei Ziqi and the others. They agreed to meet at the city gate, and then left with the extremely unwilling Elder Naylan. When they reached the city gates, Wei Ziqi and the others were already waiting for them. Seeing old Ancestor Naylan, they were a little surprised. Why did she bring such a cold old woman with her? Yue, who is she? Fatty Chu asked. This is the elder ancestor of the Naylan clan. He will be going to the sea with us. Sima Yue said, let's prepare to go out to sea. Elder Naylan opened her mouth to stop them, then looked at Wei Ziqi and the others unkindly, saying, they want us to go together? Yes. I don't agree. Ancestor Naylan directly refused, saying, their strength is so low, they will only drag us down if they go. She had agreed to go with Sima Yulin in order to find a chance to destroy him. After all, the sea was dangerous and they might not be able to protect him all the time. But if there were too many people, it would lower the standard. They might even be in danger. Sima Yu sneered, saying, I'm afraid it's not up to you to say yes or no. Don't forget, I'm the Alliance Master. Or are you saying that you want to disobey my orders as soon as we leave everyone's sight? Alliance Master? Fatty Chu and the rest looked at her, not knowing what had happened while they were gone. Those spirit masters who were dealing with the corpses of the sea beasts all looked over in confusion. Elder Naylan glared at those people, and the pressure of a spirit paragon made them unable to breathe. They all lowered their heads. She turned around and looked at Sima Yue, saying, "Since Alliance Master insists, don't blame me for not warning you if anything happens. I don't need you to remind me." Sima Yue was too lazy to bother with her. She called out Little Rock and brought them up, heading towards the depths of the sea. It was only after they left that those spirit masters finally raised their heads and sighed as they looked at their backs. When Little Rock was flying, he released his own pressure. Those lower-ranked sea beasts did not dare to come out, allowing them to fly peacefully for an entire night. However, this was just the beginning. When they entered the depths of the sea, Little Rock had no choice but to retract his pressure. Because there were already many divine beasts in the area they were in, releasing his pressure would be seen as a provocation and would attract even more sea beasts. If it was in the past, Sima Yue would definitely not care, because those sea beasts could only stay in the sea and could not cause any harm to them. However, now that they could fly, it was rather dangerous. "There's a patch of dark clouds." Bei Gong Tang pointed to the sky to the left. The sky was clear and there were no clouds for thousands of miles. This patch of dark clouds was especially eye-catching under the blue sky. "Let's go over and take a look," Sima Yue instructed Little Rock. They quickly approached that patch of dark clouds and circled it a few times. They did not find anything different from normal dark clouds. "Should we go into the dark clouds to take a look?" Fatty Chu said. Sima Yue also had the same idea. Yuni, who had been quiet all this time, spoke up to stop them. "What's wrong, Yuni?" Sima Yue asked. "Try attacking this dark cloud first," Yuni said. Sima Yue was a little confused, but she still listened to her and condensed her spirit energy to attack the dark cloud. Dash, squeak dash. When her attack entered the dark cloud, it did not disperse like normal dark clouds. Instead, it seemed to have been swallowed by the dark cloud and let out a strange sound. The sound was extremely sharp and caused goosebumps to rise on everyone's skin. "Damn, what kind of dark cloud is this? It's so strange." Fatty Chu cried out. "So strange." Ouyang Fei and the others were also surprised. "Again," Sima Yulin said. "Okay." Sima Yue got Little Rock to fly a little further away, and then launched an even more powerful attack. Squeak dash. The dark cloud let out an even sharper sound than before, and the sound was so loud that it hurt their ears. "Not good." Chong Ming cried out, and quickly set up a barrier, enveloping them all. The sound was cut off once they were inside the barrier, and Little Rock brought the few of them into the water. Sima Yulin quickly called out his flying beast and caught everyone, avoiding the danger of falling into the water. The few of them lay on the back of the flying beast, their bodies weak, and their heads in pain. After a long while, Sima Yue finally recovered. Seeing that they were still weak, she took out a pill and distributed it to everyone. This was a pill that had been added with soul fluid and had an absolute healing effect on soul injuries. The sharp sound just now seemed to have hurt their hearing, but in reality, it had pierced their souls, which was why they felt so uncomfortable. After eating the pill, everyone slowly recovered, but they still had lingering fears about the situation just now. What was that thing? Elder Nalen was the oldest, so she had suffered the most damage. Even after eating Sima Yue's pill, she still had no energy. Sima Yue also felt that it was a little hard to understand. Wasn't that a dark cloud? How could this kind of attack appear? She saw Yuni's expression and asked, "Yuni, do you know what that is?" Chapter 393. Yuni looked at the dark cloud floating away and said, "Let's catch up with it first. I'll tell you what it is later." "All right." The flying beast led everyone in the direction of the dark clouds. The dark clouds drifted away quickly, leaving Sima Yue and the rest far behind. If it wasn't for the fact that the sky was cloudless and the dark clouds were too conspicuous, they wouldn't have been able to catch up. Ancestor Nalen didn't pay much attention to Yuni before because she couldn't feel his aura. Moreover, he came out with Wei Ziqi and the others, so she didn't pay attention to him after glancing at him. Now that she saw him, a sense of fear rose from her heart. "Yuni, can you tell us what it is now?" Sima Yue asked. Yuni looked at the dark clouds and said seriously, "If I'm not wrong, that's a soul-devouring beast." Soul-devouring beast. Upon hearing this name, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. What kind of spirit beast is the soul-devouring beast? I've never heard of it before, Fatty Chu asked. The soul-devouring beast is a type of dark spirit beast. In the past, it was only found in the devil realm and the ghost realm. But from what I've read in ancient books, the devil realm and ghost realm didn't have soul-devouring beasts for a long time. Yuni said, "If it's not in the devil realm or the ghost realm, where did this soul-devouring beast come from?" Sima Yue frowned. Since it involved the devil realm and the ghost realm, the situation was extraordinarily complicated. At the same time, she contacted Mo Sha in her mind and asked him about the soul-devouring beast in the devil realm. Soul-devouring beast? When Mo Sha heard Sima Yue mention this, he said, "A million years ago, there were indeed soul-devouring beasts in the devil realm. However, because it could absorb souls and was too savage, it was exterminated by the entire devil clan. Logically speaking, the soul-devouring beast should no longer exist in the devil realm." "How do you know about the soul-devouring beast?" Sima Yue told him about how she saw the dark cloud absorbing the souls and how she was attacked. Mo Sha was silent for a while, saying, "From what you're saying, it should be a soul-devouring beast without a doubt. However, why would a soul-devouring beast appear in the Yilin continent? This point is inconceivable." Because soul-devouring beasts can't live in the world of light for a long time, it's impossible for soul-devouring beasts to grow in the human continent. That is to say, this soul-devouring beast came from another place, but the devil realm and ghost realm cannot easily break through the barrier in between. Mo Sha explained, "So if the soul-devouring beast came over, there must be some powerful person controlling it." Sima Yue was even more worried when she heard what he said. And most importantly, why would the soul-devouring beast come here to devour human souls? What's the purpose? Is it related to the devil realm or ghost realm? Mo Sha added, "We can't lock up that world for the time being. We have to deal with that soul-devouring beast first." Sima Yue said, "Can you deal with that soul-devouring beast? That thing seemed to be very powerful. Just its cry was enough to injure their souls." "I can't." Mo Sha said, "If I had a physical body, it wouldn't be a problem. But right now, I'm just a spirit body. Spirit beasts are the natural nemesis of spirit bodies. No matter how strong they are, they will be restrained." Then what's the weakness of spirit beasts? She couldn't rely on Mo Sha, so she could only look for an attack. Actually, dark-type spirit beasts have two natural nemesis. Mo Sha said, "What?" "Fire and lightning." Mo Sha said, "I can't deal with this soul-devouring beast, but there's someone by your side who can. Go find him." After he finished speaking, Mo Sha cut off the connection and returned to silence. Sima Yue knew who he was talking about. It was the sovereign of fire that had always been sleeping in her body, Qi Yan. However, she had never seen Qi Yan when she was awake. This guy had always been sleeping. If she wanted him to deal with the soul-devouring beast, she could only wake him up. Sima Yue cut off the conversation with Mo Sha and heard Yuni telling the others about the soul-devouring beast. This soul-devouring beast can control spirit beast spirits, so they can't help but attack humans. After killing them, it will take the opportunity to devour their spirits. Then was that dark cloud just now a soul-devouring beast? Why does its original body look like that? Fatty Chu said. That shouldn't be its original body. Yuni said, the ancient books said that the soul-devouring beast would usually split its body into many parts and let these parts devour spirits. Then, it would fuse together to gain strength. That dark cloud was only a part of its body, but it was able to injure all of us. How powerful would its original body be? Bei Gong Tang said in astonishment. No matter how powerful it is, it will be restricted by the rules here. Its strength can only be below that of a spirit paragon. There's nothing to be afraid of. Elder Nayland snorted coldly. Since Elder Nayland said this, you must be very confident. Then I'll leave this thing to you to deal with. Sima Yue said with a smile. But Elder Nayland didn't think that Sima Yue would actually say this. Just as she was about to retort, she was choked back by Fatty Chu. Elder Nayland is so powerful. You definitely won't say no. Fatty Chu said with a smile. What do you know? Elder Nayland couldn't finish her sentence. She glared at Fatty Chu and didn't say anything. When the others saw her like this, they lowered their heads and laughed. The flying beasts followed the dark cloud and flew. A few days later, they passed through the sea and saw a group of small islands. The dark cloud flew into the small islands and disappeared. The one in front was the one that Sima Yue had been to before. Forgotten Worry Island, Sima Yue and Sima Yulin said blankly as they looked at the small island. This is Forgotten Worry Island? Fatty Chu and the others looked at the small island and didn't see anything special. However, when they thought of the scene that Sima Yue had described, everyone was a little afraid of this small island. Elder Nayland looked at Forgotten Worry Island and asked, "Is this really Forgotten Worry Island?" Sima Yue nodded. Did that dark cloud really enter this small island? Although we were far away, we all saw it disappear here. Wei Ziqi said. Then should we go to the island? Sima Yulin asked. Yes, how can we not go? If we don't go, how can we find that spirit beast? Sima Yue said. But that soul-gnawing beast is so powerful. If we go to the island, won't it attack us? Elder Nayland said disapprovingly. What's wrong with that? Elder Nayland, didn't you say that spirit beasts aren't scary? Fatty Chu said unconcernedly. However, Elder Nayland almost fell off the flying beast. Let's go. Sima Yue got Sima Yulin to keep the flying beast and brought everyone to Forgotten Worry Island. Mo Sha said that soul-gnawing beast should be injured. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in such a hurry to return to its main body. If they could find it at this time, they would be able to get rid of it easily. How could she miss such a good opportunity? Chapter 394. Seeing that Sima Yue and the others had gone down, old Ancestor Nayland had no choice but to follow. That soul-gnawing beast was so powerful. If she was alone, who knows what would happen? It was better to follow them. At least there was a sacred beast with them. Sima Yue and the others arrived at the same place as when they first came to the island. When she saw the big rock, she couldn't help but think of Jun Lin in Xianyuan Pavilion. Back then, they had met here, but not long after, there was no news of him. He didn't know where he was now, or if he was trapped again. Yu, where are we going to find that soul-devouring beast? Fatty Chu asked. I'll send someone to investigate first. Sima Yue did not dare to step into the depths of Forgotten Worry Island, so she called out a swarm of scarlet bees and got them to fly around the island to gather information. They waited at the edge of the island. Since the soul-devouring beast was here, there might be other spirit beasts as well. It would be unwise to go in without understanding the situation. Yu, don't you feel that this place is a little different from the last time? Sima Yulin looked around and asked. You felt it too. Sima Yue said. What's different here? Fatty Chu ran to Sima Yue's side to seek a sense of security. Sound, Sima Yue said. Voice. Fatty Chu didn't understand. What was so different about this voice? This place is strangely quiet. Bei Gongtang said. Other than the sound of the waves crashing against the shore, there are no other sounds around. Biang Fei said. It's as if there isn't a single living thing here. Wei Ziqi was shocked. Sima Yu and Sima Yulin exchanged glances. This was too strange. Don't tell me that the black light you mentioned before ate all the creatures here? Fatty Chu said. I don't think so. Sima Yue shook her head. We saw that the black light only sucked in the spirit beasts, but not the other animals. But now, there's not even the sound of butterflies or bees on the island. Could it be that something killed those animals? Bei Gongtang said. Could it be a soul-devouring beast? Wei Ziqi guessed. Possibly. Sima Yulin said. Let's wait and see what the bees bring back, Sima Yue said. However, after a long time, those scarlet bees did not return. Sima Yue called out the scarlet queen bee, but it said that it had lost contact with the scarlet bees. That was a few hundred scarlet bees, which was definitely a very strong team outside, but after entering the small island, they had silently lost contact with them. Are they all dead? Seema, you asked. No. The Scarlet Queen Bee said, I can still feel their life force, but I can't contact them. I think someone might have blocked the connection between our souls. It should be a soul-gnawing beast. Seema Yulin said, maybe it's being controlled by it. Bei Gongtang said, what should we do now? Everyone looked at Seema Yue, waiting for her to make a decision. At this moment, a buzzing sound was heard. They looked towards the source of the sound, only to see a few hundred scarlet bees attacking them, catching people and wanting to sting them. Every single bee's eyes were empty and lifeless. One look and you could tell that they were being controlled. When Ancestor Nalan saw the scarlet bees flying towards her, she condensed her spirit chi and was about to attack them. However, before she could use her spirit skill, she felt the environment change. They went from the small island to a vast and boundless place. Where is this? She looked at her surroundings in shock. However, nobody answered her. They were all beside Seema Yue, looking at the scarlet bees that she had brought in. When the scarlet bees attacked, Seema Yue brought them into the spirit pagoda, bringing Elder Nalan in as well. The moment those scarlet bees entered, Seema Yue locked them into a transparent spherical container. They bumped into the container carelessly, looking outside with fierce eyes, revealing a sense of ruthlessness. It was not like how they usually were. Little spirit, cut off all contact with the outside world. Completely isolate the outside aura. Seema Yue ordered. Little spirit replied. After that, those scarlet bees quietened down and stopped bumping into the container. They also stopped glaring at them fiercely. Sorry, Smash. We apologize for our actions just now. The leader of the scarlet bees apologized to Seema Yue guiltily. They actually wanted to attack their own master. To a contracted beast, this was a shameful act. You're just being controlled. Seema Yue did not blame them. Then, she said to the Scarlet Queen Bee, go and see what they went through just now. Okay. The Scarlet Queen Bee flew to the middle of the group of scarlet bees and chose a few. She grabbed their tentacles and used her consciousness to read their memories. Seema Yue closed her eyes at the same time. She was able to see everything that the Scarlet Queen Bee saw. After those scarlet bees left, they flew towards the depths of the island. Just as Seema Yue and the others said, they did not see a single living creature on the island. There were only a few charred plants and a few insect corpses. The scarlet bees continued to fly towards the depths. Suddenly, they saw a black fog. That fog was rolling thickly. Suddenly, a pair of blood-red eyes opened from the black fog and looked over. The blood-red eyes caused Seema Yue to shiver uncontrollably. Suddenly, the black fog surged over and quickly wrapped around the scarlet bees. After that, they only saw endless darkness. The Scarlet Queen Bee retreated. After the scarlet bees were controlled, they did not leave behind any memories. Seema Yue opened her eyes and told them what she saw. Looks like that black fog was the soul-gnawing beast. Seema Yulin said, the scarlet bees looked like those sea beasts when they came back. It looks like those sea beasts were controlled by the soul-gnawing beast. Could this soul-gnawing beast be the one that you saw a few years ago? Ouyang Fei asked. I don't think so. Seema Yue shook her head. The aura of the two is different. The feeling it gives me is different as well. It doesn't feel like the same spirit beast. If we want to know why the soul-gnawing beast appeared here, we have to find it first. Seema Yulin said. We can only do this for now. Seema Yue said, it's a good thing that we already know where the soul-gnawing beast is. We have to go over carefully. Then what about her? Bei Gongtang looked at Elder Nalan, who was still sighing at this good place. Elder Nalan felt that everyone was looking at her. She turned around and kept the greed in her eyes. She returned to her usual evil self and asked, where is this? In my space. Seema Yue said. Your space? Elder Nalan's eyes shone. She lowered her head and could not hide the greed in her eyes. Chapter 395. That's right. The spirit pagoda that I obtained can contain life and grow herbs. Sima Yue nodded. How did you get such a good treasure? Ancestor Nalan couldn't hide the excitement in her heart, and the wrinkles on her face deepened because of her smile. You don't have to worry about that. Sima Yue sneered at elder Ancestor Nalan. As expected, this old fellow was plotting against him. But didn't she know that he had no intention of letting her out after bringing her in? And I won't ask, Ancestor Nalan said with a smile. What did it matter who owned it in the past when it was in her hands? But perhaps it was because she didn't like to smile in the past, so when she smiled now, it looked like a sinister smile. Old Ancestor Nalan, you can't be having ideas about Yue, right? Fatty Chu looked at her wrinkled face and said in disgust. How could that be? How could that be? This is the Alliance Master's treasure. How could I dare to have any bad intentions? Elder Nalan hurriedly denied. Now that they still had the sacred beast, even if he had such thoughts, he could not express it. Actually, it doesn't matter if you really want to hit on me. Sima Yue said with a smile. Ancestor Nalan's heart shook, and an ominous premonition filled her heart. As expected, Sima Yue's words proved her intuition right. I don't care if you have any designs on me. Since I let you in, I have no intention of letting you out. You can only think of today. Sima Yue looked at her with murderous eyes. Ancestor Nalan glared at Sima Yue and said, You want to kill me? Don't you forget, I'm the Nalan family's old ancestor, and you're merely a brat. If you dare to make a move against me, my Nalan family is not to be trifled with. Let's see how you explain this to the entire continent. You make yourself sound so important. Fatty Chu scoffed. I'll just say that you were accidentally eaten by a soul-devouring beast when you were searching for information, or accidentally eaten by sea beasts when you were surrounded and attacked by sea beasts. Sima Yue said, Do you think those people will suspect me? Ancestor Nalan subconsciously took a step back and looked at Sima Yue calmly. Although I wanted to be the alliance leader, I didn't say anything when others wanted you. Why do you want to kill me? Could it be that it was just to silence the witnesses so that no one would know about this treasure? Yes and no. Sima Yue kindly explained to her, as the saying goes, don't show off your wealth. Now that you know about it, of course I can't let you go out and publicize it, right? But he also came in. Ancestor Nalan pointed at Uni. Uni is my man. I trust him, so I can bring him in. Sima Yue said, But you're different. You're my enemy. How can I let you go out alive? Sima Yue, I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. Ancestor Nalan scolded. Ruthless? Sima Yue wasn't angry. Instead, she laughed even more happily. No, if I'm not ruthless to my enemies, do I have to wait for them to bite me and stab me with a knife? Moreover, when your Nalan clan wanted to kill me, you should have thought of this. Ancestor Nalan's heart sank. Looking at Sima Yue, she knew that she was doomed today. At that time, when the Nalan clan had tried to kill Sima Yue, she had heard her clansmen talk about it. However, at that time, Sima Yue didn't find trouble with them, so they thought that Sima Yue didn't know about it and thought that it was over. She didn't expect them to be so anxious. She looked around and didn't know how to leave this place. The longer she stayed, the more anxious she became. Now that you're here, don't even think about escaping. Little spirit, bring her to Thousand Resonance to play with. Sima Yue ordered. Little spirit appeared in the air. With a snap of his fingers, Ancestor Nalan disappeared. Not long after, screams could be heard. Sima Yue looked at Uni and said, Uni, you won't tell anyone, right? Uni smiled lazily and said, You already said that I'm yours. Naturally, I'll think for you. His words were a little frivolous, but Sima Yue knew that he wouldn't tell anyone. Since you're mine, you'll have to listen to me obediently. Otherwise, I won't want you anymore. She followed his words. Emo Shah, who was inside the devil snare bracelet, heard their conversation and unconsciously frowned. Her people? These words made him feel very uncomfortable. He had the urge to kill Uni. How would I dare not listen to Junior Valley Master if he wants me to listen? Uni looked at the house in the distance and said, That's the place you guys usually rest? I'll go find a room to rest too. After saying that, he really walked towards the house and very consciously chose a room as his own. I'll go take a look. Otherwise, he'll take up all our rooms. Fatty Chu said as he followed. Bei Gong Tang came to Sima Yue's side and looked at the house, saying, "Are you assured?" "He won't say." Sima Yue said, "We've been rushing for so long. Let's all go and rest first." Everyone rested for a day. On the second day, they gathered together to discuss the matter of the soul-gnawing beast. When she found out that 1 day outside was 10 days inside, Yuni was extremely shocked. It was no wonder that after not seeing them for half a year, each of their strengths had increased so much. It turned out that they had this divine cheating tool. Thus, she decided that she would follow the Junior Valley Master in the future and use this divine cheating tool to increase her cultivation and array skills. Because she didn't know how powerful the soul-gnawing beast was, Sima Yue decided to let them all wait in the spirit pagoda. She would go out with Yuni and Chongming Thousand Resonance first. If there was anything she needed, she would call them. Everyone knew that with their strength, they wouldn't be of much use if they went out. Thus, they agreed to wait here. Sima Yue and Yuni went out. They had stayed inside for more than a day and had only been outside for 2 hours. Let's go. Let's go and see what this island has become. She followed the memories of the scarlet bees and brought everyone to the depths of the island. In order to avoid being attacked by the soul-gnawing beast, they chose to walk. After walking a few kilometers into the island, they saw the dark scene that the scarlet bees saw. All the plants were dead. They didn't wither, but they were all charred black. It was as if their life force had been sucked out and smeared with black ink. The whole place is like this. Sima Yue looked around. Other than the forest on the outside, everything else on the island had become like this. Yuni squatted down and took out a silk handkerchief. She grabbed a blade of grass and touched it lightly. That blade of grass turned into black powder and scattered in the air. Perhaps the black powder had pressed onto the other plants and caused a butterfly effect. All the black plants on the island had turned into black powder and formed a thick layer on the ground. Chapter 396. The entire island was covered in a thick layer of black powder. From afar, it looked like a black purgatory. Even Yuni and Chongming, who had seen a lot in the primordial lands, were shocked. This scene was really too bizarre. Sima Yue took out a wild animal from her spirit pagoda and threw it into the distance. Puchi, the pheasant, fell directly into the black powder. It fluttered twice in the powder, and all the feathers on its body were corroded, followed by its meat and bones. Soon, the fat pheasant completely disappeared. This black powder is so powerful. Yuni remembered that she had touched the black grass and felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had used a silk handkerchief. If he had used his hand directly, he was afraid that his hand would have been crippled. Sima Yue did not expect the black powder to be so powerful. She frowned and said, "There's so much black powder. It seems like we can only fly over." "Fly close to the ground," Chongming said. They continued to fly towards the depths of the island. The deeper they went, the more shocked they became because the black area they saw was just too big. How did these plants become this corrosive black powder? Thousand Resonance couldn't help but ask as he looked at the vast expanse of darkness below. Chongming and Yuni both shook their heads, indicating that they did not know. They had never seen these things before and did not know what was going on. "Yue, don't worry. No matter what happens, I will protect you. After all, I am your woman," Yuni said with a smile. Sima Yue felt the devil's snare bracelet move, but before she could ask, Emo Sha came out. Yuni was shocked when she saw a shadow suddenly appear. Then she realized that the shadow came from Sima Yue, so it shouldn't be an enemy. "Emo Sha, why did you come out?" Sima Yue asked curiously. This fellow almost never appeared in front of everyone. Even though he had been with Wei Ziqi and the rest for so many years, they did not know of his existence. Why did he come out today? These things. Emo Sha looked at the thick layer of black powder and said, which could be considered as answering her question. However, he glanced at Yuni, causing the latter to have goosebumps. She muttered to herself, "Why do I feel like the Grim Reaper is staring at me?" Sima Yue did not notice the subtle relationship between the two of them. Hearing what he said, she asked excitedly, "Do you know how it was formed?" Emo Sha retracted his gaze and nodded, saying, "A powerful fellow came this time." Soul-devouring beast? No. Emo Sha said, "The soul-devouring beast should be a magical beast that he raised." You're saying that other than the soul-devouring beast, there are other people on this island? Sima Yue asked. That's right. To be able to come here from that place, this person's strength is not low. Emo Sha said, "Furthermore, you guys aren't familiar with the Devil Realm's methods, so you might not necessarily win against him. The opponent still has a sacred beast." Sima Yue was speechless. The opponent was so strong, what were they going to do? "If you guys can subdue that soul-devouring beast, I'll deal with that person," Emo Sha said. "All right." Emo Sha looked at Uni again, saying, "They can restrain that person for a period of time. You guys have to take care of the soul-devouring beast during this time." "We can only restrain him for a period of time?" Uni's usual lazy smile froze, as she looked at Emo Sha in disbelief. "If it weren't for the restrictions here, even 3,000 of you wouldn't be able to restrain him," Emo Sha said mercilessly. Uni's smile cracked. This was too much of a blow. That person is that powerful? Sima Yue widened her eyes. "If I didn't guess wrongly, this person has already reached the Devil General rank. His strength is even stronger than your God rank. Don't you think he's powerful?" Emo Sha said. Although Sima Yue did not understand the rankings of the Devil Realm, if he was stronger than a God rank, this was indeed not something Uni and the rest could contend against. "I'll go back first. If you guys can't take care of that soul-devouring beast, I won't come out again." Emo Sha returned to the Devil's Snare Ring after he finished speaking. "Yue, who is this person?" Uni waited for Emo Sha to disappear before opening her mouth to ask. "The soul of a Devil General from the Devil Realm." Sima Yue said, "It's a coincidence that I'm bound to him now." Uni understood what Sima Yue meant. She lived, he would speak. If she died, he would die. Therefore, he would definitely do his best to help them. But the three of us are going to restrain that Devil General. Can you deal with that soul-devouring beast alone? Uni was worried about her and asked worriedly. "Don't worry, I can do it," Sima Yue said. The four of them flew forward for a while and quickly arrived at the center of the island. "It's here." Sima Yue looked at the quiet surroundings. There was no black fog that the Scarlet Bee saw. "Are you guys looking for me?" A sharp voice came from all directions. Then, a black fog slowly rose from the ground. A figure suddenly appeared on the small hill in front of them. That figure was sitting there steadily, as if it had always been there. "Gaga dash." The voice came from behind them. They turned around and saw the rolling black fog that the Scarlet Bee saw. Two sacred beasts. "Hee hee, I like it. It's been a long time since I've drunk fresh blood." The black fog laughed weirdly. "You're that soul-devouring beast?" Sima Yue said with certainty. "That's right." The black fog rolled and slowly condensed. It formed a completely black demon beast with a pair of slender legs and 6 skinny arms. It also had a ghost-like head. Its blood-red eyes were the same as the eyes that Sima Yue saw through the Scarlet Bees. "A soul-devouring beast looks like this?" Sima Yue looked at the soul-devouring beast in disgust. The black liquid that dripped from its body was too disgusting. She did not want to look at the soul-devouring beast anymore. She turned around and faced the Demon General. Although the Demon General looked a little weird, at least he looked like a human. Also, he did not drip that sticky black liquid. He was still acceptable. "You have guts." The Demon General opened his mouth and looked straight at Sima Yue. There were many people in the Demon Realm who were afraid of him. However, she dared to look straight at him. She was really bold. "Thank you for the compliment." Sima Yue looked calm on the surface. However, she was very nervous. His aura was stronger than Old Man Devil's. Also, because he was from the demon race, he naturally had an aura that made people afraid. A gust of wind blew from Sima Yue to the Demon General. He closed his eyes and sniffed lightly. His face was intoxicated as he looked at her excitedly. Your body smells so good. It must be delicious to eat. Hee hee, I didn't expect to meet such a rare food. Hee hee, give me your body. Chapter 397. Sima Yue ignored the uncomfortable feeling brought about by that voice. She looked at the demon general and said, You want to eat me? After I eat your flesh, I'll feed your soul to my soul-devouring beast. I'm sure it'll be a great supplement. The demon general looked at Sima Yue with great interest, as if he was looking at a delicious meal. In the past 2 months, he had asked the soul-devouring beast to release some people who wanted to investigate, but the taste of those people was very ordinary, and he didn't like them. However, the person in front of him was different. He could smell the faint fragrance coming from her body from so far away, which meant that she must be extremely beautiful. He wondered what kind of physique she had to be able to make him almost drool. Sima Yue snorted and said, You want to eat my meat? I'll beat you to a pulp first. Ha! Hearing Sima Yue's words, the devil general laughed loudly. Just the few of you want to turn me into meat paste? You overestimate yourself. You'll know in a while whether or not I'm overestimating myself. Sima Yue said, but what I'm more curious about is, how did a devil general like you come to the Yilin continent? The space here was the hardest to break. Were you the one who caused the chaos in the sea? What are you trying to do? Is it for the thing below? The demon general's dark face turned strange. He did not expect Sima Yue to know his identity as a demon general. Since you're so delicious, I'll satisfy your curiosity. The devil general folded his hands together and said, Since you know that I am the devil general, then do you know who is below? Sima Yue shook her head and asked, Who is it? A devil king of my devil race is being suppressed here. Naturally, I am here to rescue him. The devil general said. Devil king? Sima Yue was shocked. Could it be someone on the same level as Mo Sha? Mo Sha sensed her thoughts and snorted, How could that thing be the same as me? That guy's strength has only reached the devil king level. I am the true devil king. Sima Yue agreed in her heart. She looked at the demon general and continued to ask, What does this have to do with how you came here and controlled those sea beasts to attack humans? Of course it's related. The demon general said, If not for the fact that the demon king has been attacking the space here all these years, how could I have opened a passage to come here? Sima Yue understood that the reason why the sea area was not calm in the past few years was because the devil king was attacking the space. The devil king's aura and the space's turbulence made the sea beasts in the sea area restless. Those sea beasts felt deep fear, which led to some abnormal situations. Then why did you control the sea beasts to attack humans and let the soul-devouring beast devour human souls? She asked. Naturally, it's to increase the strength of my soul-devouring beast. The demon general said, After eating those souls, my soul-devouring beast will become even more powerful. Only then will it be able to break the seal here and save my demon king. When he spoke up to this point, his expression suddenly changed and the aura on his body turned berserk. He stared straight at Sima Yue saying, But you actually injured my soul-gnawing beast, causing it to lose so much of its strength. You really deserve to die. Master, this person's soul smells so good. Let me eat it. If I eat it, my strength will definitely increase by quite a bit. That soul-devouring beast's voice was incomparably sharp, piercing straight into their souls. The demon general waved his hand, Don't kill it. I don't want to eat the flesh of a dead person. Yes, master. The soul-devouring beast cried out excitedly and turned into a ball of black fog. That black fog rolled a few times and split into 2 balls. Chong Ming and Thousand Resonance looked at each other and said, Let's do it. The 3 of them flew towards the demon general, leaving Sima Yue to deal with the soul-devouring beast alone. Ha! You actually left me to deal with you alone. Looks like you want me to eat your soul directly. The soul-devouring beast cried out happily. Want to eat me? Let's see if you have the ability. Sima Yue said, Crimson Flame, come out. The surrounding air suddenly became scorching hot. If an ordinary person came here, they would definitely die from the heat. That heat wave sealed the entire space. Following that, a peerlessly handsome man appeared in front of everyone. This was the first time Sima Yue saw Crimson Flame's human form when she was awake. Previously, when she was at the bottom of 10,000 Beast Mountain, although she glanced at Crimson Flame, the impression was very vague. She couldn't remember what he looked like. Now that she saw the slender figure in front of her, that appearance, that temperament, other than that fellow Wu Lingyu, no one else could compare to him at all. Yuni, who always boasted of her good looks, was 7 points worse than him. The moment Crimson Flame appeared, everyone present felt his incomparably powerful aura. Yuni and the demon general looked over in shock. Who was this person who suddenly appeared? Why did he have such a powerful aura? You. The soul-devouring beast saw Crimson Flame and trembled from his soul to his body. I am her life contract beast 3. If you want to eat her, you want to eat me. Crimson Flame said as his body ignited with raging flames. The space around him became slightly distorted due to the heat. This aura. The soul-devouring beast saw the flames on Crimson Flame's body and its first reaction was to retreat. Crimson Flame wasn't in a hurry. The flames jumped on his body as if they wanted to break free from his restraints and chase after the soul-devouring beast. It was the first time Sima Yue saw such a flame. It was so happy, so lively. It was even hotter than when she summoned it. It was as if it had a life of its own. Go! Crimson Flame flicked his sleeves lightly. The flames seemed to have been released and left his body. They formed a red bird in the air and chased after the soul-devouring beast. Sima Yue looked at the red bird in surprise. The flame bird seemed to have a life of its own as it flapped its wings and even made a chirping sound. Gigi, the soul-devouring beast felt the danger and screamed sharply. The sound reminded Sima Yue of the first time she came into contact with the soul-devouring beast. Her entire body jumped up and she felt extremely uncomfortable. It was as if her soul was being torn apart. Chirp chirp, that firebird cried out as well. That mellow voice suppressed the voice of the soul-gnawing beast, causing Sima Yue and the others to relax. Yuni and the rest were still okay. The short cry didn't make them feel too uncomfortable. It only made their movements slightly slower. However, Sima Yue's strength wasn't as good as theirs. Her defense against this kind of soul damage wasn't as good as theirs. Hence, even though the soul-devouring beast's cry was short, she still couldn't take it. Her face turned pale instantly and her entire body became unstable. She lost her balance and actually fell into the black powder below. Yue! Chongming and the rest saw her fall and wanted to save her. However, they were held back by the demon general and couldn't leave. Crimson Flame was about to go when he saw the black fog around her. Then, a figure appeared and held her waist with one hand, stopping her from falling. You're really weak. Emosha saw her pale face and frowned. Chapter 398. Sima Yue looked at Emosha and was stunned for a moment before saying, "Thank you." However, Emosha didn't appreciate it and said, "Next time you're this weak, I won't save you." Sima Yue didn't expect the soul-devouring beast's cry to be so powerful. It was just a short cry, but she couldn't handle it. Thinking about it, when they met on the sea, that black cloud was only a part of the soul-devouring beast. That cry had injured all of them. Moreover, this was the main body, which was much more powerful than the clone wrapped in the dark cloud. She doesn't need you to save her. Crimson Flame flew over and took Sima Yue. Emosha's body became transparent again. The flames on Crimson Flame's body burned all the darkness, but when it touched Emosha, it only jumped a few times and didn't burn him. However, Emosha still distanced himself from Crimson Flame. Although the two of them had formed a contract with Sima Yue on the same day, this was the first time they had met face to face. Chirp chirp, squeak squeak. The flaming bird seemed to be furious that the soul-devouring beast had injured Sima Yue. It flapped its wings and rushed to the soul-devouring beast's side, enveloping it completely in an instant. The soul-devouring beast was being burned. It kept trying to resist and struggle, but it was being burned down by the flames. Qi Yen stood beside Sima Yue and covered her ears. Don't listen. She didn't know if his hands had magic, but after he covered her ears, she really couldn't hear the sound of the soul-devouring beast. Mo Sha indifferently glanced at the soul-devouring beast that was being burned smaller and smaller by the flames, then turned his gaze towards the few people who were currently fighting. You are indeed a devil general. He looked at the devil general and waved his hand. A gust of wind separated the people who were fighting. Yuni and the rest saw Mo Sha come out and knew that their mission was completed. They quickly retreated and returned to Sima Yue's side. The devil general looked at Mo Sha, his eyes flashing with suspicion. However, there was more vigilance and fear in his heart. That's right, a soul actually gave him endless pressure and deep fear. You are from the devil race. The devil general said. That's right. Mo Sha admitted, I didn't think that you would actually be able to break through the barrier between the devil world and this place. It's a pity that you came here alone. Otherwise, it's really possible to get that guy out. The demon general's face was heavy. The feeling that the other party gave him was too strong. Even if it was a soul, he might not be a match for him. What do you want? The devil general asked in a deep voice. Since we are both demons, I'll give you a chance. Return to the demon realm immediately. Mo Sha said, it wasn't easy for you to cultivate to the devil general level. If you were to be killed by me just like that, that would be too much of a pity. I came to save the devil king. The devil general said. Then you won't choose the path I gave you. Mo Sha said as he turned into a black fog and attacked the devil general. Usually he would only give people one chance. Since the other party said no, he would not be soft-hearted. The demon general also used the black fog to wrap himself up. He wanted to make his position unpredictable so that the other party would not be able to attack him. But this move was useless against Mo Sha. The two balls of black fog met and merged together. They became an even bigger ball of black fog that almost covered the sky. Yuni and the rest looked at the scene in front of them and were stunned. This battle formation was too frightening. This battle formation is really indescribable. Yuni said, could it be that the battles in the demon realm are all like this? It's even bigger than the battles in the primordial lands. Sima Yue was speechless. Other than the black fog that filled the sky, how could she not see how big the battle formation was? But maybe it was because her power was too low that she could not see it. At the same time, on the other side of the sea, almost all the sea beasts in the sea had gathered here, preparing to launch their biggest attack on the humans. Actually, the sea beasts had been attacking since 3 days ago. However, the last large group was still in the sea, waiting for the final order. Vice Alliance leader, we can't hold on any longer. On the city walls of Yi City, a young lad ran over in a hurry, out of breath. Not long after Sima Yue and the rest left, the sea beasts began to gather. Sima Tai stayed here to command everyone in the battle. At the same time, a few other groups of people also returned. They came to Sima Tai's side and said, Vice Alliance leader, the Hua clan can't hold on any longer. The Seng clan is about to be conquered as well. The Li clan said that their alchemists are about to collapse from refining pills. Vice Alliance leader, our various lines of defense have already been conquered. The sea beasts are much stronger than we thought. Vice Alliance leader, we just received news that a large group of divine beasts have gathered a few tens of nautical miles away. It seems that they are all 4th ranked and above. What? Everyone was shocked. This last piece of news was the most fatal. Clan leader, what do we do now? Sima Lin came to Yi City as well to help Sima Tai. Grandfather, let's contact you. If she hasn't found the reason, let her come back first. Let's get through this crisis first. Sima Yuyang said. We can only do this. Sima Tai said. Then I'll contact her. Sima Yuyang said. He took out the mother-son stone and inserted his spiritual energy. He began to anxiously wait for the other party's response. Yuyang. Sima Yue's voice sounded, causing everyone's spirits to rise. Yuyang, did something happen? Sima Yue continued to ask. Sima Yuyang took a deep breath and explained the situation, saying, "Where are you now? Can you rush back?" Alliance leader, if you don't come back, we won't be able to hold on. The human puppets at the side cried out. Sima Yue didn't think that the situation here would be so serious. The other side was quiet for a while. Just when everyone thought that the connection was broken, her voice sounded again. I was wondering why this guy hadn't been completely burned to death after such a long time. It turns out that he was constantly replenishing his strength over there. Replenishing his strength? Yang, look at the sky above you. Do you see a patch of dark clouds? Sima Yue asked. Sima Yuyang raised his head and saw a strange patch of dark clouds. It seemed to have covered the entire sky. The others raised their heads as well. Previously, nobody had noticed the dark clouds in the sky. Now that Sima Yue mentioned it, they felt that it was a little strange. We have already dealt with the main body of the soul-gnawing beast. Do you see if the dark clouds have dispersed? Sima Yue asked. It seems to be dispersing. Sima Yuyang stared at the dark clouds. But Yu, what does the dark clouds have to do with it? The dark clouds are part of the soul-gnawing beast. It's because the soul-gnawing beast controls the sea beasts that they attack humans. Sima Yue explained from the other side, causing everyone to be shocked. It's dispersing. It's dispersing. Someone saw that the dark clouds were dispersing quickly and cried out in surprise. They saw that the dark clouds were dispersing slowly. In the middle of it was a black creature. That creature struggled in the air for a while before it turned into black smoke and disappeared. Chapter 399. We've already killed the main body of the soul-devouring beast, so the other clones will disappear as well. Those sea beasts will slowly regain their consciousness and won't be able to fly anymore. Sima Yue said, "We're not done here yet. Contact me after you see the situation." After saying that, she cut off the connection between them. Sima Yuyang looked at Sima Tai. They had also heard what Sima Yu had said, and it was as if a huge stone had been lifted from their hearts. All of you, look at the eyes of those sea beasts. They are slowly awakening. Sima Lin pointed to the sea beasts in front of them and said. Everyone looked over and sure enough, they saw those confused eyes slowly becoming focused. These eyes were filled with confusion, as if they did not know why they were here. Bang! Bang! One by one, the sea beasts fell from the sky, no longer able to fly. I really can't fly anymore. The soul masters in the air were originally fighting against these sea beasts, but they didn't expect their opponents to suddenly all fall down. They were so happy that they cheered loudly. Vice Alliance Master, are we going to completely wipe them out? Someone asked. No need. Sima Tai said, these sea beasts are also under someone's control, so they don't know what they're doing. Send someone to inform the others first. Don't kill them all yet. Let's see what the Alliance Master has to say when we report back. Yes, Vice Alliance Master. The people in other places had also received the news. They did not do anything to the sea beasts that had landed on the beach. They were waiting for Sima Yue's words. After 1 to 2 hours, Sima Yue contacted Sima Yuyang again and asked, how is it? Those sea beasts have already regained their consciousness. There are more sea beasts that landed on the beach. Everyone is asking you what to do with them. Put them back. Sima Yue said, they have no choice. Maybe humans can use this opportunity to build a good relationship with the sea beasts, and it will be safer for them to go out into the sea in the future. Sima Yuyang said, when are you coming back? Although the demon general and the soul-devouring beast have been taken care of, the Forgotten Worry Island has yet to settle down. Sima Yue said, we might stay here for a few days. We'll go back once we're done here. Then be careful. Sima Yuyang said, we will. Contact me if there's anything else. Sima Yue hung up after saying that. Sima Tai said to the people beside him, did you hear what the Alliance Master said? Go and spread the news. Yes, Vice Alliance Leader. The person beside him replied and left. Sima Tai first sent people down to negotiate with the sea beasts of the highest level. After reaching an agreement, he thought of a way to move all the sea beasts back into the sea. Vice leader, are we going to pass this crisis just like that? Some people couldn't believe it. Just an hour ago, they were still fighting the sea beasts to the death. In just a short while, the battle that had lasted for months had ended just like that? I've counted it. Simatai said. However, even though this matter had passed, the impact of this matter was likely to cause a great upheaval in the entire continent. Some forces had sacrificed a lot in this battle, while others had sacrificed less. This would definitely cause a change in the ranking of the factions. He waved his hand and said, "Let's clean up the mess first and count the number of casualties." Yes, Vice Alliance leader. On Sima Yoyue's side, after Emo Sha and the Devil General fused together, she received Sima Yu Yang's request for help. It was only then that she realized that the flame bird did not burn the entire soul-gnawing beast just for fun. In addition, the other clones were constantly absorbing the souls, so the main body did not die. Crimson Flame got the flame bird to burn the entire soul-gnawing beast. After confirming that the dark clouds had dissipated, Sima Yuyue hung up. After an hour, the black fog did not seem to have reduced in size. They did not know how Emo Sha and the Devil General were doing either. Will anything happen to him? Sima Yue could not help but ask. Probably not. Yuni was unsure as well. He looked so domineering before, he shouldn't have been bluffing. But it's been so long, and there hasn't been any movement inside. Apart from the initial scream, there hasn't been a single sound coming from inside. Sima Yue said, "Are you worried about this, Lord?" Sima Yue had just finished speaking when Emo Sha's voice was heard. After that, the black fog that filled the sky quickly condensed into a ball, turning into a human figure. It was Emo Sha's figure. "You've become stronger?" Sima Yue asked curiously when she realized that his soul was more solid than before. "After digesting his strength, it just so happened to replenish my soul." Emo Sha said. "You couldn't have been digesting the Devil General's strength for such a long time, right?" Sima Yue frowned. "That's right." Emo Sha said, "You should have heard his scream before he died." "He died at that time?" Sima Yue glared at him fiercely, shouting, "You killed the Devil General so early and you didn't even tell us. You made us worry for so long, you're too despicable. I thought that with your understanding of me, you would know that I didn't need much time to deal with him." Emo Sha looked speechlessly at the angry person. "Say it, what did you discover?" Chi Yan looked at Emo Sha and said, "I discovered some things from his memories." Emo Sha replied, "You even read his memories?" Sima Yue asked. "After a person dies, their brain doesn't stop immediately. I invaded his brain during this time and read his memories." Emo Sha said, "After leaving the Devil Realm for so many years, he also wanted to know what it was like now. He also wanted to know how those powers were doing. Were they still waiting for him to go back and take revenge? Hey, what are you thinking about?" Sima Yue saw that Emo Sha was actually in a daze and was surprised from the bottom of her heart. "Nothing." Emo Sha collected his thoughts, saying, "Didn't you want to completely eliminate this hidden danger? If you don't stabilize the space here, who knows if someone will come here soon and something similar will happen again." Sima Yue nodded, saying, "I think so too. That Devil General said that there was a Devil King suppressed below, and that Devil King kept attacking the space, which gave the Devil General the opportunity to use the soul-devouring beast to enter here. If that Devil King continues to attack the space, who knows if the next Devil General will come here soon. So we have to deal with this matter from the root." "That's right." Yuni agreed with her thoughts. "Since that's the case, then come with me." Emo Sha said. "Go where?" Sima Yue asked. "That Devil General already knows where the Devil King is and even went to see him. I'll bring you to see him." Chapter 400. Sima Yue stared at Emo Sha and said, "You want to eat that Devil King too, don't you? You can understand it that way." Emo Sha raised his eyebrows. "In any case, you have to solve this problem. I'm just helping you solve it completely." Sima Yue pursed her lips and said, "Aren't you doing this for yourself?" "Let's go then," Yuni said. "Wait." Sima Yue waved her hand and stored all the black dust on the island into her spirit pagoda. What are you going to do with these? Yuni asked. If the dust is blown into the sea, it'll be troublesome. Moreover, once the new seed was released, this place would become a deserted island. Why don't we collect them? Maybe we can use their corrosive properties to make poison in the future. Sima Yue said as she took out some seeds and scattered them around. Yuni looked at her speechlessly. Only she could think of using this to make poison. After she was done, she clapped her hands and said, "Let's go." Crimson Flame didn't rush back this time. He followed her all the way. A group of powerful, handsome men with different temperaments were with her. This lineup was really eye-catching. They came to the center of the island, where there was a volcanic crater. Looking at the rocks in the crater, this was an extinct volcano that had not erupted for tens of thousands of years. Below, Sima Yue stood at the top of the mountain and looked down at the entire island. Indeed, it was a type of formation that relied on one's strength. However, compared to the 10,000 Beast Mountains Array formation, the grade of this array formation was many times lower. They jumped down from the crater, and it took them half an hour to reach the bottom. Sha-sha. The sound of the iron chains rubbing against the ground was exceptionally loud in this quiet volcano, pulling all of their willpower over. In a pitch-black cave, he was imprisoned forever. Sima Yu thought she would see a ferocious devil beast or devil clan, but when Crimson Flame's flame lit up the entire mountain, what they saw was a half-foot-tall, completely black pony. His eyes were round, unlike the eyes of other demons that were filled with blood and slaughter. On the contrary, they looked very pure. The pony's 4 hooves were firmly tied by 8 iron chains. The other side of the iron chains were all inserted into the wall, intertwining with each other in the air. This is the Devil King? Sima Yue looked at Emo Sha in disbelief. I think so. Previously, when the Devil General came down, I didn't see its main body, so I didn't know it was this guy. Emo Sha said, "You know it?" Crimson Flame asked. I don't know it, but I know its ancestors. Emo Sha said, "The Nightmare Beast clan has helped me before. Looks like I can't eat it today." This is the legendary Nightmare Beast? Don't they say that nightmare beasts are ferocious magical beasts? Sima Yue looked at Little Pony. Little Pony's eyes were filled with fear when he saw Sima Yue and the rest. That adorable appearance had nothing to do with the devil race at all. Emo Sha floated over and carefully looked at Little Pony. He floated back and said, "This is a mutated nightmare beast. The most special thing is that it doesn't have the ferocious aura of a demon. It's really strange. And this nightmare beast is still in its infancy, yet it's already at the Devil King level. Looks like it was born like this." Born with the strength of a Devil King? Sima Yue looked at Little Pony. She wasn't afraid at all. Instead, she felt that it was cute. Stash, that little pony took a step back and opened its mouth at Sima Yue, trying to scare her. That row of sharp teeth was still a little scary. It's actually different from normal horse teeth. Sima Yue said, "But, can't it speak?" It spoke the language of the Devil Clan. "It's just that you don't understand it." Emo Sha said. "But didn't I form a contract with you?" Sima Yue said, "I formed a contract with the Scarlet Queen Bee and I can understand the Scarlet Queen Bee's language. Why can't I understand it?" Emo Sha's face was full of black lines. He reached out and knocked her head, saying, "Although I'm from the Devil Clan, I belong to the Human Clan. You formed a contract with me, so you definitely can't understand the Devil Clan's language. Since you formed a contract with it, you might be able to understand it." Sima Yue touched the place where Emo Sha hit her head. This guy's strength was getting stronger and stronger. His soul was becoming more and more physical. Is this really the guy that sucked all the creatures on the island? It doesn't look like it. She stared at the nightmare beast. That pair of pure big eyes really made her unable to connect it with the ferocious guy in her mind. No matter how pure a devil beast looks, it's still a devil beast. The ferocity in its blood can't be erased. Chi Yen said coldly. But if it's the case, it should have done it unconsciously. Emo Sha explained for Little Pony. Then what do we do now? Yuni asked. Originally, Emo Sha was going to eat this Devil King. But now, he was saying that the Nightmare Beast clan was his benefactor and he couldn't eat it. Then Sima Yue wanted to get rid of this hidden danger. What should she do? Sima Yue was also in a difficult position. She looked at Emo Sha and asked, "How do we deal with this guy? You can't kill it, but you can't leave it here. Why don't you keep it?" Emo Sha said, "Keep it? How can we do that?" Yuni was the first to object. It's a dark attribute spirit beast. Only a dark attribute spirit master can form a contract with it. If we let Yue form a contract with it, wouldn't that be asking for her life? Sima Yue looked at the Nightmare Beast, saying, "Can I form a contract with it?" Emo Sha nodded, saying, "As long as you can pull it out of this array." Sima Yue looked at the array below Little Pony, saying, "Then you go and tell it that if I save it, it has to recognize me as its master. Otherwise, when it comes out, I'll destroy it." Yue. Yuni looked at Sima Yue worriedly. "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Emo Sha floated over again and mumbled something to the Nightmare Beast. Towards the end, Emo Sha looked at her, and the Nightmare Beast looked at her and nodded. "Okay, let's start," Sima Yue said as she brought everyone into the Spirit Pagoda. Then she came out with Sima Yulin and the two of them began to break the array. The two of them worked together to break the array. It took them about a month's time. After a month, the array below Little Pony disappeared. Little Pony jumped up and down excitedly, causing the chains to clatter. Sima Yue was able to get close to it now. She walked over and squatted down, saying, "Don't be anxious, the chains aren't done yet." She stretched forth a hand to grab the chains and used fire to burn it, but found that it had no effect at all. "This thing is pretty sturdy." She was a little surprised and changed the fire to Crimson Flame's fire. Woo-woo, the Nightmare Beast saw the fire in Sima Yue's hand and retreated in fear. "Don't worry, this fire won't burn you," Sima Yue said with a smile when she saw the fear in its eyes. After that, she threw the fire onto the chains and let it burn the chains. No pop-up window. Our address. We provide handwritten versions of our works, free to download as a TXT ebook. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.